Did you have an idea? Did you already have all that footage that you used, or did you have to go out and record that?
No, so I had a lot of it. That's the thing, is that I went through and figured out, all right, what do I have and what do I need to get?
Yeah, what can I work with?
Yeah, so the only part that I didn't have was the part when I joined in with the fire dancer and I appeared with her on camera. So that I had to shoot. That I shot on a green screen at Access Humboldt.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
Oh, damn.
So that's what allowed me to because in real life, I wasn't next to her, you know. So I had to put myself in the scene with her, delete the background using green screen techniques. You know, that's what a green screen's for. You delete the background, you can isolate yourself. And so that's what I did for that. That's the only part that I actually had to shoot.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, that's nice. At least you didn't have to go out and scrounge a bunch of footage.
Right.
I haven't done any green screen work. I mean, chroma keyed anything out or done anything like that.
You understand the concept of it?
Yeah. I have a green screen tucked away somewhere because I thought...
Oh, did you?
I'd use it for something in here. Get like a giant 12-foot by 10-foot curtain that I was going to do something with, and just it hasn't materialized quite yet. But
I would say people a lot of times overuse a green screen, especially when they get one, because like when you can put some trippy visual behind me using a green screen. Like you can put like anything, obviously, but it also makes first of all, the green of the green screen reflects a little bit generally onto the person's the perimeter of their face, the border between what's being kept in the image and what's not being kept in the image. So you see a little bit of green, which is not great. And then it's very hard to get it to look natural when you're putting a background behind it. And a lot of times this is very nice. Like unless you had like a very specific reason why someone needed a good background, I'd say this is way better. Like if you said, oh, I'm going to, like Steve, he's always talking about this natural building that he's doing.
Yeah.
So if you came and you put some sort of like construction project that he had or some greenhouse or something behind him here, I think it would probably not look nearly as good and be nearly as enjoyable as just leaving the curtain. You know, you'd be like, hey, look at how dynamic I'm being. It's like, yeah, dude, you did more work and it looks worse.
And it'd take away from the conversation.
Yeah, it's just not
Wouldn't
necessary,
be worth it.
You know?
I had people always say that the curtains were green screens back in the early days of the podcast.
Oh.
Nobody thought they were real. That was the one thing I never understood. That was like my biggest comment all the time. It was, what's with the fake green screen behind you? I was like, they're real curtains.
That's really weird.
That's what you're nitpicking is you think it's a green screen and it's a curtain.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
I don't know why they would think that.
For a long time when I first started, those were like my top comments. Why do you have a fake green screen behind you? And I was like, what? What? They're curtains. They're not that hard to get. You can get them on Amazon.
Yeah, they're available.
Yeah, it's not like it's
not a black market.
Yeah.
It's, you know,
some insanely decorative background that would be easier to replicate with a green screen. It's just a curtain.
That's funny.
Yeah. Do you want to go headphones? No headphones?
I'm probably going no headphones for now. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Shooting loose today.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you brought up the whiskey, about drinking whiskey. I'm on a little bit of a health kick.
You look great.
Thank you. And it's like, so the last time I drank alcohol was the last time I was here.
Oh, shit.
And I went home and I felt alcohol in my stomach. I could just feel it inside me. And then I didn't sleep well that night. And I attributed my not sleeping well that night to the alcohol. And I'm like, maybe I want to chill for a little bit. Not that I've ever been such a huge drinker or anything. It's just that, like, if I'm on this health kick of like being healthy, like, why am I drinking alcohol? It's like, just obviously not good for you. Like,
probably the worst thing that you could do to your body.
Yeah.
I mean, literally drinking poison.
Yeah, correct. Exactly. You know. So it's like, do I really need to do that? And I don't need alcohol to feel comfortable and relaxed. And it's like, no, I think I'm just going to pass. I'm not swearing off alcohol for the rest of my life, to be clear. I'm just saying, like, for now, it's the vibe I'm going with.
Just doing a bit of a cleanse.
Yeah. So
I think it's good to do that every now and then.
Yeah.
Just to kind of reset your baseline.
I've got a wedding coming up next month that I'm going to, and like weddings are such a big drinking thing, you know. So we'll see what happens there.
Probably go a little hard.
I'll probably have a drink there, you know. It's like weddings, they're like so awkward. You're like,
and that's when it's going to get you, because that first drink after not drinking for a while.
Yeah, it might knock me out.
You're going to be on the dance floor. Asleep by 7 somewhere, passed out in a chair.
Totally. That's funny. Yeah.
Weddings are the ones that usually get me. I don't really drink that often. I will occasionally on the podcast, But outside of that, no,
Yeah,
not really. I just have too much shit to do, and I don't like the hangover feeling the next day.
totally.
I was reading some research actually, or looking at an article the other day that said these researchers believe that alcohol consumption is on a permanent decline now with Gen Z. That it's just fallen out of style. They think it peaked somewhere around 2016, I believe. 2016, 2019 maybe. And now they think it's just going to be a steady decline to some base level.
Huh.
Which makes sense. You have a lot of kids that aren't really going out to bars, aren't really partying like that anymore, especially post-COVID.
Right. That's the question. Is it just a function of people not going out as much anymore and not socializing?
That definitely plays into it.
I mean, that could just be
But then you do have this revolution of, health. I feel like more people are health conscientious. More people are in the gym or are doing these run clubs, working out.
Great.
But I wonder if we lose a little edge as the alcohol goes down. Every now and then it's nice to kind of cut loose a little bit.
Yeah, like I'm not saying it's like the worst thing in the world. It's just, yeah, the thing is I can feel it in my stomach, and because I'm eating basically good food all the time now as far as healthy food, like having that thing that was not good for me, it was like a huge change from everything else that I'm eating. And so I felt it big time.
It's more apparent now.
And I don't like that. I don't like that feeling of like, oh, I feel something weird in my body. It's like this weird, it's just like,
Going to sleep is the worst part.
Yeah.
When you're looking at the ceiling and the room is spinning.
Yeah.
You're thinking, what did I do?
Yeah, it's not the way
What
to
did
go.
I do to myself? Why am I here right now?
Yeah. So
yeah, was that when we recorded a podcast?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this was.
Yeah, that was when we were drinking a little bit of whiskey.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having a good time.
Yeah. Whiskey's nice.
Yeah, it is.
Whiskey's nice.
Dude,
it's a good little conversation starter. It's like a good cigar.
It's a great.
You sit there and BS for a little bit.
It's bonding. It's socializing. It's good.
Do you think that we lose some element of, I don't know, our capacity to bond without alcohol, where it has been so ingrained in our society for such a long time?
I mean,
or is it like a weird stigma thing we have where we think we need it, but we actually don't? We can still hang out and have fun together, and it's really not required as that social lubricant.
I'd like to find a different social lubricant that doesn't involve ingesting poison, as you say. That's the main thing. I'd like to find another. This is the thing. Both it works the same way with both eating healthy and not drinking alcohol. Is that okay? That's good for you on an individual basis, but like if you're trying to be like a social being in the world, like if you become strict on your diet, you can't, like, none of the food that anybody eats in social situations is like going to work in a very healthy diet.
Yeah, bar food?
Yeah, disaster.
Greasy, you feel it, it sits heavy on your stomach.
But even beyond bar food, like, because, yeah, I mean, if it's like fried chicken, yeah, that's really bad. But even like all the food that when people get together to socialize, it's tons of carbohydrate. All carbohydrate all the time. And
you got to go to more barbecues. Get some steak in your life.
Yeah. Well,
some tri-tip.
But okay, yeah. That's,
no, but I completely agree with what you're saying. It's all carb heavy. It's all chips.
Yeah.
Dips.
Yeah.
A lot of bread, at least with the people I'm around.
Yeah. And so if you're just like a tight ass and say, oh no, I'm eating healthy, I don't eat that food. It's like, all right, dude, you're kind of like,
you're killing the vibe a little bit.
Killing the vibe. You're not that fun,
And you also don't want to be on the other end of that where you've got just vegan food out and it's all vegetables, no dip, just plain broccoli. Because then nobody's going to come to the party.
Correct.
It's once you set that baseline, once you start eating healthy, and if you work out a little bit and you realize how good you feel, you almost kind of set a trap for yourself because you don't want to mess that up anymore. You're like, I don't want to go back to feeling like shit. I don't want to go back to eating fast food and drinking because I know how shitty that feels. And I didn't realize until I started to get better.
Right. So you were saying that one time you said you were pretty much eating carnivore diet. Are you still?
Oh, no. My diet, these past few months, I've been all over the place.
Okay.
All over the place. I've had McDonald's more in the past 3 months than in my life. More McDonald's than fast food at any point in my life. I've been burning the candle at both ends past couple months.
How did that happen?
I don't know. I just got into a weird space, and then I had a few more people in here recording. So then I was just recording more podcasts or editing more podcasts than I was recording personally. And so then I'd be, up till 2 in the morning editing each night, up again at 4 to go to work. So my sleep was jacked. And once your sleep goes, at least for me, if my sleep goes, I'm balls to the wall. Then the diet goes, then the exercise goes, and it's just, okay, we gotta reset a little bit.
But dude, so you're going to do your manual labor job on 2 hours of sleep?
4. No, yeah. 2. I normally get 4 and 5 because then I'll come back and like on a lunch break, I'll take like a 2-hour nap. So I was going off, yeah, probably 4.5 to 5 hours of sleep pretty consistently for a couple of months.
Yeah, it's not.
And I say that like it's past tense. I'm still on the tail end of that.
You're still on the tail end.
Still on the tail end. I think I went to sleep last night at like 1, got up at 3:30, slept for an hour before you came just to kind of recharge. That's why I downed that monster just to kind of relock back in.
Dude.
So we've kind of switched places a little bit. Not necessarily that you are off your rocker like I am right now, but you're kind of the health guy. I got to take some cue. You're dressed to the nines right now. This is your podcast today. I'm just the guest. I'm here to talk.
Welcome to the Growing Pains podcast. Eric Black, Nick Flores, and Nick here is a podcaster in Eureka, and we are talking to him about the art of podcasting and staying on your health routine. Dude, so are you editing Scott and Pete's podcast?
I was doing Scott, Pete, and then I had another girl in here who was recording pretty consistently. And then I had another guy who did one, and he kind of fell off. But yeah, I was banging out. I was probably editing at least 3 podcasts a week of various hours.
Dude, so your plan to have a little studio that you rent out to other people is actually picking up a little bit.
A little bit. I gotta get the word out there more. I gotta like create some flyers. That's an idea I've been kicking around and putting them up on campus, around town, kind of spreading the word because it seems like people are interested.
Is Pete just talking about running, or what is he doing?
His is running focus, but he's also been kind of diverging a little bit as well.
Into like self-help type stuff?
Yeah. That would be a good way to phrase it. He had some musicians on.
Okay.
He's kind of, he moves around a little bit.
Yeah.
He's an active guy.
Yeah.
He runs a lot. Has done, I believe, some ultras, is going to do some.
Okay.
Does a lot of running.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's kind of a trip for me to be in here because I'm not a runner.
Right.
In that way. So listening to that has been interesting.
Okay.
And then the girl does a recovery podcast. So she has on people who are in recovery or people who have family members that have passed because of drug addiction or are in active addiction.
What's her pod? I don't know about this.
It's Recovery Real Talk with Angelica Matias. Little subtle plug for that one.
Okay, that hasn't come across my... Pete came across my social media, and I just know him from when he had like restaurants and stuff. So
Pete's Pizza, right?
Yeah, he had Big Pete's Pizza. Then he had the Jam right off the plaza. He had a bar, So I mean, I followed him as soon as I saw that he was doing a podcast. So I watched some of his clips. I've never actually watched the pod. I've just watched the clips that are on Instagram. But all right, cool. I'll check her out too. And then Scott also, the algorithm feeds me his stuff all the time. So I see what he's talking about as well. Pretty cool, dude. So you're editing all those guys' podcasts, which when you say editing, what do you have to do for them? Like, are you creating the clips for social media?
I'm doing the clips. I'm doing most of the switching. I go back through, I do a rough pass of the switching while they're in here. So kind of what you were doing.
Yes.
Doing that, watching the audio, and then I go back through, clean up all the audio, recut, because I don't quite have the switching down yet. That's the hardest part. I don't have the right switcher. I know the piece of tech that I need. I just haven't pulled the trigger to get it yet.
Okay.
So I go back through, redo that, clean up the audio, do the clips. For some of them, I'll schedule the podcast as well. So I go through all their accounts, schedule everything out.
Oh.
So it was taking a little bit of time there. I didn't quite have my time management down. So, but when the work's there, you kind of just bang it out. What are you going to do?
Well, good for you. I mean, that's interesting work.
Yeah, it was fun. It's been fun. Nice little way to make a little extra change, keep the podcast alive.
Hell yeah.
Of course, then my recording kind of went to the wayside a little bit because I was banging out everybody else's. Sure. Everybody else is scheduling all these times, and I'm like, oh shit, I don't have time to find guests.
Right.
So I've kind of tweaked my setup a little bit there. This is kind of the start of my run now. I got a couple guests lined up.
Okay.
So getting back into it, and then I'll start dealing with the sleep again, retweak the diet, get back
Right.
kind of climbing out of the hole a little bit.
Okay. That's a lot. Okay.
But it happens sometimes in life. You got to just roll with the punches.
True.
Seize the opportunities when they present themselves.
True.
You just don't want to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Is what gets everybody.
I mean, hell, I mean, I because I don't have that much work right now, I can focus on my health a lot easier. It's not a good balance though. I need more work. If that compromised my health a little bit, I'd be fine. I need more work.
Are you still doing the radio?
So I have that radio gig that I told you about, and it's super fun.
Yeah, you like it.
But it's a substitute job. So I have no regular shifts. It's when people ask me because they're going on vacation, they get sick, friends coming into town, whatever. And then there's basically 2 permanent subs, me and this other girl. So we take the scraps of whatever people throw at us. And she, like me, is available a lot. So half of the time I don't get the gig. Because
so they just kind of swap between you two.
It basically, yeah. I mean, like basically the person who's asking for the sub will like in a group text both me and her.
Oh, and then whoever responds.
It's kind of whoever responds, or they can, we kind of work it out, It comes out to mostly half and half. And yeah, it's a super fun job. It's a little bit different than what I've done previously, but being an FM DJ, yeah, it's a trip. It's fun. So I'd like to get more work. I try to stay available. I mean, I take it every time I can do it, which is basically all the time. But it's just not that much work. I thought it was going to be more work.
It's not consistent enough.
And now that it's the summer, I'm expecting, people are going out of town. They're going to SF. They're going to festivals. They're doing this and that and the other thing. I still haven't got, it's been the same amount, not anymore. So I don't know. I mean, the nice thing about it is that I'm probably, me and this other girl, presumably we're first up when like a permanent gig opens up.
Yeah, you've got your foot in the door now.
Yeah, but who knows when a permanent gig opens up, It's
how many full-time DJs do they have?
So between the 2 stations that I cover for, there are a total of 5 DJs. So there are 5 total people that can text me saying I need a sub. So, but until one of those people leaves, the gigs are all taken.
And those are probably a pretty long-term position for those people.
It's Humboldt County. If you leave your gig, you can't necessarily get another one that's good. Yeah, it's...
Especially nowadays.
Yeah, especially nowadays. So we'll see.
Are you doing any talking? What's the position entail? What are you doing?
So mostly the playlist is set up. Mostly I'm playing the songs that the music director has set up. Although I have the option of pulling in anything that's in our catalog, which is tens of thousands of songs probably. So occasionally I'll pull in a song. The more experience you get, the more you get into that kind of crafting the playlist and like based on what you want to do and connecting things and deciding, I'll say this and then that song will be good after I say this and kind of making that part of the art form. But at this point, I'm doing very little of that. I'm basically playing what's on the playlist, but every so often jumping in with as the song's playing, I'll do a little research on the web about the band, about this song, about the lyrics. I'll try to find an interview from the band where they talk about the song. So if I have a little nugget about the song or about the music, I can drop that in. Or you can just kind of like make a segue. If a song is about sunshine, you can come off and say, hey, it was sunny today in Eureka. It was awesome. I was out at the boardwalk. What were y'all doing? Stuff like that, kind of like DJ type stuff. And then sometimes it's just, storytelling, trying to make a funny joke or a funny observation and trying to relate it to the music, but you can use a very loose connection just to, there's no rules. Just say, the boss has this, it's like, what is his, it's like information, insight, or humor, something like that. He's got like his 3 things. Because I don't work there that often, I don't hear it, but I've heard other people tell me that that's what he always says. Have something interesting that you can say. And so it's very open-ended, way more open-ended than previous radio gigs where I was like a news guy and I was very, very limited.
Cut and dry.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's really cool.
Do you think this is something you would want to pursue?
So the thing is, I would like to pursue it as a job 3 days a week. I don't want to do it 5 days a week because I think that's just really becomes a grind. And when I think about what the DJs are doing, the full-time ones, they either have 4 or 5 hour shifts, so they're on the radio for 20 to 25 hours a week, and that's a lot. And it's just like the same thing over and over again. Most jobs are, but that's what I don't like about full-time jobs. So I would like, if I could do it for 3 days a week, I would definitely take that in a second. If it was a question of 5 days a week or nothing, I would have to think about it. I'd probably take it at this point just because my money situation's bad. But I think I would get worn down by the grind and just the repetitive nature of, like, when I used to work at KHSU. That was like a job that I had that was really good for me, and it was awesome for me. But it was a creative job, but it was creative in the same way over and over and over again, grinding Monday through Friday, holidays, Christmas, January 1st, every day, every weekday of the year. You are responsible for going in and doing this job. If you're not coming in, you have to have a plan of what's covering for you. There's no just like, well, it's a holiday, I'm not coming in. Like, that's the way these media jobs are. That's the way the radio gig is that these people have. And it's just a real grind. And I don't know, I'm not thrilled about the idea of doing that again. But if I could do it 3 days, I mean, my vision is that if one of these people who's working there quits or leaves, whatever, then maybe me and this other girl, this other sub, we can split the 5 days between the two of us. Now, some radio stations would probably say, no, we need the listener needs to know who the DJ is, that we need to be advertising this person has that slot. You can't be switching back and forth between DJs, but maybe they wouldn't say that. I don't know. Most like radio gigs like this are the same person 5 days a week. I normally don't see it switching between two people. We'll see.
But where you guys don't have a dedicated show, you might be able to work that out.
We might.
If you're both good and the audience likes both of you.
Yeah.
A little more bang for your buck.
I mean, in reality, do people listen to FM radio for the DJ? No, they listen because they like the music, So like, who cares really in the end? It's just, can you add a little bit? That's all it's about. And I like the music. I mean, it's alternative rock. So there's two different stations. There's K-Hum and K-Slug. The station that I mostly have subbed at, which I think is more fun for me, is Indian alternative rock. The other station, K-Hum, is more eclectic. It's just like a lot of different, but it's like kind of like an emphasis on like bluegrass and like, singer-songwriter types. That station's cool too, but it's not as much my style. That station also has like a much wider variety of songs that they play, whereas the indie alternative station, K-Slug, has like a much narrower playlist. So like, if you listen to K-Slug for like, like they'll play a song at like 8 in the morning and it'll repeat at like 2:30. Whereas on K-Hum, it's not likely to do that. It's much broader, much bigger catalog of songs. At least that's the way I perceive it. That's the way it's been when I've been the DJ. So with K-Slug, so now I listen a lot because I'm working. I listen a lot at home. So I'm just like getting much more familiar with the music. That helps you be a good DJ because you have insight into what the songs are about. You hear them more. You hear interesting lyrics as you're listening. You learn to sing along to the song. So that's one of the things, like when you turn on your mic, you can just like sing along, It's like, so it's pretty fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And you can kind of do whatever you want with it in a sense.
Totally.
And like you said, once you start listening to the music and you understand it a little more, you can start selecting songs that are really resonating with you and probably with the audience as well.
Yep. And so now what I do is like, I'll just put some of the songs that are heavy in the playlist into YouTube at home. So now, like, first of all, I see the video, and so that's like kind of almost like working when I'm not at work, because I'm like watching the video to see if there's anything interesting I can talk about. Because another thing you can tell a listener about, hey, we just heard that song. Hey, the video has these really cool special effects of someone on the Santa Monica Pier, blah, 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 But then also, once you put that into any sort of like Spotify, YouTube, whatever, you're going to get recommended similar bands, right? And that's how you build up your knowledge of like the whole genre, So I'm going through that stage at this point as well. Pretty cool.
Yeah, kind of getting familiar with the catalog.
Yeah.
That's exciting, man.
Yeah.
Do they do any like talk radio shows? Is that still a thing? Are people doing talk radio?
They bring in people, they'll talk to people about events that are going on in the community. So they'll do like a 5 to 10 minute segment.
A little short and everything.
Yeah. And then they have like some segments that are sponsored where they do this thing called sound bites, where like local restaurants come in and that they eat with the DJ. They bring their food, and then it's like a paid promotion of the the restaurant. So that's actually something new. I'm gonna have some water.
The only downside with that is, what if the food's bad?
Right.
Then are you going to say it, or are you going to?
No.
You're going to cover for the restaurant?
You're going to cover for the restaurant. You're absolutely not going to say that, dude.
See, I don't know if I could do that. I would be the type of person that would say, this might be really good for somebody. And I could see people appreciating this food, but I don't think I'm that person. I don't think this is working out for me right now.
Well, I haven't had to do this segment yet. It's only been, they probably wouldn't schedule this with a sub. Like, it's only been the regular. But I mean, I've thought about that too. But it's a blatant advertisement. Like, you're not gonna.
Yeah, what do you expect?
We know the game. You're not gonna say, hey, this is kind of like undercooked and too spicy, not salty enough. You're not gonna say that.
Yeah, this is lukewarm. What, did you guys nuke this before you came over?
Right.
Yeah, that'd be like getting an ad read and then just completely shitting on the company.
Totally.
It's like, what am I paying you guys for?
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
The 5-day week split seems like it could be a little intense, especially if it's a smaller catalog with music you don't really like, and then you're in there, especially if it's like a morning thing. So from 5:30 to noon or something.
Well, so
this sucks.
So at one of the stations, the morning guy has a 6 to noon shift. He has 6 hours on the air. I don't understand. They just switched that. When I first started doing this, he was only 4 hours. They had the day split up between 3 people. One of the people quit. So now the 2 people are splitting the whole day, which is, I don't know how they're doing this. And they're not even texting me for subs. Like, they're just like 5 days a week grinding this out. That seems like a fast track to burnout. But maybe they are different personalities. I don't know. But I just know from working in radio in general that that's not the normal length of a radio shift. Normal radio shifts are like 4 hours.
Then again, Roland Treehorn has been doing radio for decades.
How long is his shift?
He does the morning show.
Right.
I don't know what their time is. Maybe 5:30 to 10, 5:30 to 9 maybe. It's the morning show.
Yeah.
But I know he's been doing it for
forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Since he was a kid.
Yeah, I watched the episode when he was on because I was like, oh, media guy. Yeah, and I referee basketball games with him. So yeah. Yeah, he's been doing it forever. I mean, some people like it. I mean,
but then again, you're not just doing that, right? Because he's reffing, he's doing real estate.
I think he does real estate. Yeah.
I don't know that you could make a sustainable career anymore unless you're in a huge market, down in LA or San Francisco or New York, and you're on like a primetime slot.
Yeah. I mean, I make, like, this radio gig is way more interesting and creative than my Access Humboldt gig, but I get paid significantly more by Access Humboldt. So, that's that.
Yeah. It's always nice having a little extra cash.
Yeah.
Are you doing a lot of work for Access Humboldt or is it sporadic?
I work for them it's basically like 8 hours a week, maybe even less. It's like six to 8 hours a week. I've been doing it for years. I've always had it with other jobs. So I'm doing that. I'm doing the radio. I've got my little roughing gigs sometimes. There's summer league starting up now, so I'm roughing games actually tomorrow night.
Basketball.
And I occasionally work for CR. I occasionally work for the police academy. So I'm doing that actually this month. So that's like a few days, it's like probably 20 days a year that I work for CR.
Shooting like promo stuff?
No, it's not video work. Basically, when the cops, the cadets are going through the police academy, they need like actors to come in and play suspects so that they can practice like what they're going to do.
You're not a guy getting tased out there, are you?
Well, they don't actually tase you, but I am the guy that they are cuffing and putting on the ground, and
you're the actor.
I'm the actor.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a fun gig. I mean, that's pretty cool. I like that. And and other than that, I mean, hell, I interviewed to go back to work in restaurants. I had 2 interviews like a few weeks ago to work in restaurants. I didn't even get those jobs. I was like, oh, here's at least going to be a little bit more money. Nope, they didn't hire me.
The job market is terrible here.
Dude, yeah,
I mean, legitimately terrible.
Yeah.
Even for part-time work. Like you said, like restaurants, other jobs where you're just doing a couple hours a week, just terrible.
Totally.
I mean, you don't even hear back from a majority, and then maybe you go interview around and then nothing.
Yeah. I mean, people are posting in these Facebook groups saying, I've applied to 50 jobs and haven't heard back once,
I follow all of these new grad posts in these threads, where they're like, I've graduated and I can't get anybody to respond. I've sent out thousands of applications and nobody gets back to me. Can't even get an internship. I'm like, oh, this is a bad metric for where we are.
Yep. Yeah, hold on to your job is the moral of the story. I mean, I knew it was going to catch up with me eventually. I mean, I went through a few years where I had a bunch of jobs in video production, and I kind of quit each of them one at a time just because I would get annoyed at something. I've always been that way where I just get pissed off at a job and I quit. And I always have like a backstop of like part-time work. Like this Access Humboldt gig never gets on my nerves. So I always have that as like part-time. And, but eventually I quit a job and now like it's been like a rough time. And it really sucks because there's all these things I want to do. And I'm just like in basic mode of like, okay, groceries, rent, bills, basically nothing else. I don't do anything else that costs money. And I'm kind of getting sick of that because I have all these things I want to do.
And all of them require money.
And all of them require money.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like I have my time. It's like, yeah, I have all this time on my hands, but like can't do anything with it because I don't have any money. It's not amazing.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in.
Yeah.
Not having money is not a great place.
No.
Especially when you're trying to find jobs and just not getting anything back. You're like, I've got time. I just need a job to fill that time, but I can't get anybody to respond.
Yeah. And just even applying to these restaurant gigs, like I worked in food service a lot when I was younger, and I kind of like at some point I stopped and moved into video production. It was good. And moved into radio and video production. That was a great like evolution. And now I had to kind of put my tail between my legs and like apply for more restaurant jobs. So even just applying was like a big step. Then I finally got a call back and then 2 interviews. I figure at least one of these people will hire me. Nothing.
Do you think that's an up here thing? Or is that more indicative of just the job market across the country?
I'd say it's just, there's just not that many people. There's fewer business. There's more people that want to live here than there are businesses that are hiring people. And especially once you get into restaurant gigs, you're applying, there's like tons of college kids and they might be expecting to hire college kids. And I've kind of like done my best to disguise my resume so that you can't tell like how old I am. I don't say the dates of when I did things. Like a lot of my restaurant experience is from like, 2003, but I don't put dates. I just say how long I did it for instead of, so that you don't
make it age blind.
Yeah. But I don't even know if that matters, but I think people are probably expecting to hire like college kids for a lot of these restaurant jobs. I don't know. I don't know what the theory is, but yeah, there's a lot of people who have trouble finding work up here. And it's always been like this. It's not just after COVID. It's always been like this since I've lived here since, 2000.
Has it always been this bad?
It might not have been this bad. I mean, but I haven't been looking for work the whole time. So like,
how do you really know?
You don't know. You don't really pay attention to it when you have your gig and you're set up, So.
And it's challenging too with those low wage jobs is they almost, like you said, expect to hire younger kids because you're only making 16, 17 bucks an hour.
Yeah. I mean, these jobs would have had tips included, it was food service, but
still.
Yeah.
Shout out to Humboldt.
Yeah. That's that Humboldt life.
Oh, man. I feel like every time we get in here, I start reflecting on how I got to get the fuck out of Humboldt. My God, this place is just... But then again, I don't know. I think some of it is probably across the country.
Yeah.
I think it's just a tough market right now. Capital's dried up. AI. I mean, I don't know if it gets better, especially as you have these smaller communities start to dry out.
It's funny that you... I remember when you brought up the AI girlfriend. That was when we recorded one time. And since then, like a lot of like, I don't know if you call it like AI video, like video of people talking when they obviously didn't say the things that they're saying, but it looks like they are saying. So, I mean, so me, my mom, my brother were in a text thread and my mom was saying like some medical problems that she had. And my brother just responded with Trump talking to my mom and using my mom's name and saying to her, "Oh, don't worry about that. That's fake news. You don't really have problems in your knees." And, and like, it was like this hilarious.
It was probably pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know where my brother got it, but he typed in, make Trump say these words, here's the keywords, and it pumped out a video. And we have the video. He's saying it, it's like, holy shit.
And it's only going to get better.
Yeah.
And it's pretty good right now. You still have like some weird movements or you'll have like phantom limbs in some of the videos, but it's still pretty good. Yeah. There was a video of Trump saying something a couple days ago that almost got me. I was like, what is he saying? And then I went into the comments and people were like, no, this is
he didn't say it.
Fake. Yeah. But
right.
It was had I just watched it and kept scrolling, I would have quoted it.
Right.
Like, this is what they're saying.
Right.
This is what's happening. Fake video. And AI avatars now, that's that's where we're at. You can just create somebody that doesn't even exist, a really hot girl, and have her say whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and people are using it for like super productive purposes. Obviously, it's not just to like fake people out and stuff. Like apparently, like for language learning, you can just like, oh, you want to learn Spanish? You can just like talk to a person who's going to like talk to you in Spanish, and they don't even exist, but they're going to like respond to what you're saying.
You don't even need that anymore. They've got glasses now that will translate what a person is saying in a foreign language.
Okay.
I watched a video of a dude created this glass product for glasses, and it actually has transcripts pop up in your language of the person as they're speaking, real time.
Wow.
Yeah, so if you're speaking Spanish, I could read it in English. And then you have Google's got earbuds that'll translate, Google or Samsung, and they'll translate in real time. The language barrier is gone just in time for us all to not talk to each other anymore. We're just going to talk to AI.
Dude.
It's a weird time.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
I feel like every time, especially you, every time we get in here, I'm reminded of that. Of like, oh, okay, it just keeps getting weirder. Everything keeps getting weirder.
Yeah.
And then we're just living life. Just constantly
you
try to move forward.
You still have this podcast. We are real people, I think. We just confirming here.
Maybe. We'll check the comments and see. The green screen behind you might throw people off.
Yeah, the green screen with the curtains superimposed. Yeah.
What a waste of time that would be to get a green screen just to have red curtains.
Just put curtains behind.
That's all I'm doing it with.
That
would be insane.
Not amazing. That would not be amazing.
I would try to come up with something better.
Yeah.
Some cooler background.
Some, sunset
Curtain,
or
something a little more film-esque.
Yeah.
No, red curtains.
Red curtains.
What about the video that you created, that little short, was that part of a larger project, or you were just putting that out as like a standalone?
No, I was just putting that out as an Instagram video. I thought it was going to do really well on Instagram. It totally bombed.
Well, the problem, you have to post so much. It's almost like a quantity thing rather than an individual. You could create a really good reel and sometimes it'll take off, but usually you have to have a body of work around it. And then it's just, okay, what one does well.
Yeah. So, no, that video I made was just a standalone that I made for that purpose to try to put a visual to what I was talking about with you.
How long did that take you?
It took me a long time because the whole theory of it, of what was going to happen in the video, of choosing everything and going through my footage, I was working on it probably for like 2 months. Now, parts of, that doesn't mean that all day, every day I'm working on it. It's just that the process, maybe it probably been 3 months. It was a long time when I had the concept of it. All right, now I have to go through my footage. I have to log my footage, see what's going to work, what works next to the next thing, what the transitions are going to be, shoot the footage at Access Humboldt, understand, like get the vision. First, I thought I was going to just shoot footage of myself and have a lot of I had one shot of myself by myself, but then I realized me joining the fire dancer was going to be more interesting and more dynamic. Picking out the music. I tried to, the video starts with me sitting in this chair, right? I tried to add all these like cool effects because you got to bring the person in and prevent them from scrolling in those first few seconds. So I added all those things, and I had text behind me that was hard to superimpose because it was basically the way I did it. I tried to integrate it into the scene. So it was complex. I mean, it required a lot of different skills. But yeah, I mean, I don't know what goes viral. I mean, I also thought, all right, I'll invite you to collaborate. If you share it, that'll help me. And you did share it.
Psych.
And no, that didn't help. But the reason I thought it might help is because you have some videos that have been bangers. I mean, Scott Marcus does this job with me at College of the Redwoods. And so I said, hey, dude, you have like a viral video from Nick's podcast. And he's like, no, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, bro, you're talking about how like the saddest thing that can happen to a person is that their inner music never comes out. He's like, oh, and he immediately spit back. He's like, oh, and he spit back what exactly the quote was.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, dude, it has like 700,000 views on Instagram. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, you're big, dude, right? So you have that, you have a bunch of videos now that's a good one because it's so short and it's tight. Like it's a very good
grabs
quote.
You.
It's a good quote. Yeah. I can see if I saw that, yeah, I'm going to like that. That's good. But you have others like James Falk has one that's like 70,000. You have a bunch of like pretty big ones. So I was like, oh, this is a really interesting video. If Nick shares it, maybe it's going to go
Yeah,
viral.
you caught me at a bad time though. I haven't posted on Instagram, and I have now. At the time that we're recording this, I posted a couple reels, but I hadn't posted in probably a couple months. So all that traction kind of just dwindled.
So it's about how much recently.
Yeah. How much you've been putting out. And then I don't even know how much you can control which one gets hot. Cause I've had ones where I've released them and thought, oh, I find this one interesting, and it just falls flat.
Right.
And then other ones that are almost throwaways that do gain that traction. Like what?
But even like the amount of like this has gotten so few likes. Like there's certain people that like all my videos, like, and obviously the algorithm keeps showing it to them because they constantly hit the like button. And even those people, many of them have not liked this video, meaning I'm sure if they had watched it, I imagine that they would like it.
Maybe they didn't see it.
That's what I'm saying, is that I don't think the algorithm is showing it to them. I'm like, geez, like what did I do to like get on, and I haven't posted in a long time,
That does affect it.
Yeah.
The posting. I think it kind of punishes you if you're not active. Even if you have been active in the past. And now there's always been so much out there to compete with, but now with all of the AI stuff, I keep seeing these vlogs from like Yetis or Bigfoot. They're hyper realistic, and it's them vlogging and talking, and they're gaining millions of views, millions of likes. Have you seen these?
No, like Bigfoot the monster is
Yeah.
It's
yeah.
like,
I'm gonna pull this up so I can show you.
okay.
Yeah, and they're huge, and it's like, how do you compete with that? I'm just gonna Google Bigfoot vlogs. So watch this. This is like the third time I installed this TV thinking I was gonna use this all the time. This is maybe the third time I've pulled up a clip.
Okay, but the viewers are not seeing what we're seeing.
I'll pull this. I'll leave the tab open. I'll throw it in there. We might get flagged on YouTube, but you're gonna have to do headphones for a sec. But you're gonna watch this, and the moral of the story is, I don't know how you compete. How do you compete with a Yeti vlogging about his life?
Hey everyone, it's your pal Bigfoot. I've put together some of my favorite recent vlogs for you. Enjoy.
Look at how realistic that looks.
Found this kayak. Gonna use it to get to the fish.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's kayaking, he's fishing. I've seen ones where he'll have a monster, like a white energy monster with Zen. He's talking about how he's almost out and he's cracked out and he's got to go find some more. Or night raids. He's in the woods and he thinks there's wolves around. Just unreal. And see, so how do you compete with that? How are you going to make a clip that grabs somebody in the way that seeing Bigfoot talk, and not just talk, but the mouth line up with the words?
Correct. So none of that is actual footage. It's just,
unless Bigfoot's out there with a DSLR camera and he decides he wants to be TikTok famous, I think it's all fake.
Yeah.
All of it. Background. I mean, this isn't people filming a nice, there was a mountain scene with a river. All of it's fake. All of it.
Right.
And we're talking fake in the sense that you just put in a prompt and then what you want in this case, Bigfoot to say, and it spits that out.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts. I mean, I haven't been watching anything like that.
Yeah, unreal.
So that's what's dominating TikTok and Instagram right now?
That's what I've seen. It's come across specifically on Instagram, I've seen a few of them, and all of them have, 100,000 plus views. All of them. And this is like beta right now. We're in the beta stage still of AI. And so when that gets really good and you've got AI avatars and you can make them consistent across various reels, you just have a talking head who people think is running this account, but really it's just a fake person. I don't know if this is real. I saw an article about some talent agency that is trying to sign AI talent. So people that have built up AI pages and they're trying to sign them to this talent agency because I think this is where the future is going to be. It's not going to be real creators anymore. It's just going to be AI people that you can have do this, crank out videos 24/7.
I mean, I have not really at all jumped into the world of AI, like even saying like, okay, like the simplest version is when people say, okay, AI, make me an image of, Nick on a mountaintop hosting his podcast. And then it does it. even that I haven't done. Like I don't really like understand like what the deal is because I don't like engage in it at all, which I really need to, especially if I'm going to be a video producer, because like you can't just ignore this stuff. It's an amazing resource. So like I have no idea, like these AI creators that would be recruited, like what skill are they bringing to the world? Like what are they doing?
I think you're just buying the account. You're buying that AI avatar that was created and all of the followers that are currently attached to it.
Okay.
It's almost like getting in ground level on a musician.
Right.
And you have full control over them. It's like the perfect employee in a sense.
No, okay, but the musician actually has the skill of playing music. Like the people who are running these accounts, like what are they doing? Like how are they creating that?
They're creating engagement. They're creating a product that people can't take their eyes off of.
Okay.
And if you've got the focus, that's where the money is.
Okay.
You know?
So they're not like computer geniuses and they're not really artists. They're just kind of like,
no, you and I could do this right now.
Yeah.
With a prompt.
With prompts. That's what, so they're just, okay.
That might be why your video bombed. There's just an influx of all this content.
Yeah, I mean, I'm since I've been on Instagram, I enjoy Instagram a lot, and I watch a lot of Instagram videos, but they're not like that. They're from real people. But then again, who knows? I'm not necessarily the main audience. I mean, we're probably talking about a lot of people in their 20s, and
don't get me wrong, there's still a lot of real content out there.
Yeah,
but you're now competing against this as well. You're not just competing against other people who are putting in time trying to create something that people will enjoy. You're up against that. You got Bigfoot to worry about now. Who saw that coming?
That is nuts. Yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, that's. But like, okay, I see how this is like. Holy cow, dude! Can you believe this? But like, I still wouldn't, after like 20 seconds, invest any time in watching that. Like, that's not that interesting to me. Like, I'd way rather watch a real person.
But why? Why would you rather watch a real person? Is it because it's a real person, or is it because that content right now is still a little more engaging? Right? If you had Bigfoot do a stand-up routine for an hour,
right?
It was a really good stand-up routine,
right? Good
probably going to watch it.
Good point.
It's just the quality of the content might not be there just yet. And those weren't really that great. I've seen better ones, like the Zen one or the Energy one. Those were better. And so it's still gonna get better.
It's gonna get much better.
Yeah, this isn't like Endgame. We're still at the beginning stages.
Right, because it's almost like if you watch like NBA 2K, like if you look at like the way like basketball players were portrayed in video games like in the 90s and how they're portrayed now, it's
completely different.
It's like, yeah, it's like completely different, and it's gotten like 1,000 times better. This is like the stage of like video games in the 90s. Like this is just starting.
It's like black and white movies.
Yeah.
You would have a hard time today watching a black and white movie, or even better, a movie without sound. You'd have a hard time sitting through that because now we have just a wide variety of things that are way better nowadays. That's where this is. This might be black and white right now, but give it another 6 months.
Well, my one idea that I have for, I'm going to drink some more water and not be.
That's what that's there for.
Yeah, there you go. One idea I have for my next like series of Instagram videos is to start dishing dieting and weight loss tips. Because that is a huge market on Instagram. I mean, on social media. I mean, I follow all these influencers who talk about health and fitness. There's kind of like the exercise part of it, and then there's like the diet part of it.
Yeah, the nutrition.
Yeah, nutrition, and then like training, I guess you could say. So I've got all these ideas for like how to help people with, because so many people need to lose weight, and so many people are trying to lose weight and are struggling. And so there's just a lot of people, you know, like these influencers, they're huge. They just have so many followers. So I've thought about doing that. So I'm thinking about, and that's pretty like low cost. It's pretty like easy to do. I have to organize my thoughts and like prepare, but it's not like as complicated as like the video I just made, you know? I don't know. That's a potential upcoming project that I'm going to work on.
Huge market for it.
Yeah. And see what I can do.
So is that kind of what's racking around in your brain right now, is just different creative ways to make projects for an online medium?
Yeah. I mean, I'm always looking to, I mean, I have, one of the things that's annoying me about not having any money is that there is actually a news story. I want to get back to, I mean, I've basically gone away from news reporting in the last year or two and been more about these promotional and hype videos on Instagram. But I actually want to make an old school style, like what I used to be doing, news video. But in order to make it, I actually need a fair amount of money to hire a bunch of people to do a bunch of different things, including to act in the video, and I can't really afford to pay people. And if I try to make the video on like cheap, I'm going to be pissed because it's not going to come out and it's not going to work. It's not going to create the impact that I want it to create. So that's really frustrating. Whereas I can make the dieting videos for real cheap. So I think that is probably what my next project's going to be.
Sometimes it is just creating where you're at, though, as well. Like sometimes you have to just create the thing, accepting that it's not going to be
perfect.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Where you would want it to be, but just to start building that momentum.
Absolutely.
Because even if you had all the stuff and hired all the people, it still probably wouldn't quite be up to snuff.
Well,
but then 10 down the road, you might be closer.
I mean, I've made a bunch of news videos in my time where I was like, okay, this is very good. This is a reflection of what I can do. Like I'm not like, I mean, I'm critical of myself, but I also think that I do good work. So I don't, and this is the type of story that I'm good at explaining, that needs explaining, and that I'm very good at explaining. So I don't know. The thing about the dieting video is that dieting and nutrition and all that stuff is a form of self-help, which I just used that term before. Again, like a lot of self-help is complete bullshit. A lot of self-help is just words. Everybody wants to like put on, oh, just be your authentic self, like say just stuff that just has no meaning and isn't going to help you with shit. Then there's like the 1% of self-help that actually could help you. And I want to make sure that I'm going to be in like the 1% and not the 99% that's just trash, waste of time. So that's another thing. Like I've never tried to do something that's like self-help. I mean, I've done tutorials, but that's much more cut and dry. It's not saying like, oh, I know how to help you live a better life. You know what I mean? So
yeah, different field.
Yeah. So we'll see about that.
It would be fun though.
Yeah.
And it would kind of reinforce that in yourself, that pursuit of clean living, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. I constantly go back between creating more things and then I watch these AI videos and I'm like, I don't know where things are shifting. How much of this is all going to be irrelevant in 10 years? Like what does a world look like where most of the things that you are interacting with through your phone are just fake and doesn't matter? Like what happens if you have an AI influencer who's jacked and is repeating the same information? Hey, clean eating, clean living, don't drink alcohol, don't do these things that are going to negatively impact your life, and that you just shredded.
Right. But so here's the thing. Like one of the reasons I like your podcast is that I like the way you engage people and the reactions that you can get out of people. I like you, and I like the way people act around you, right? Or the things they talk about with you. So yes, it's true that if someone was to be able to create an AI version of you that could do that exact thing, look exactly like you, engage people, and it wasn't actually a person, the show would still be as interesting, right? But they would have to create that character. Like it doesn't really matter whether you're real or fake. All that matters is that the conversation is interesting, and you've created it with the real version, which is great. So I'll keep being loyal to this thing unless an AI character comes along who's more interesting than you are, right?
Which probably will happen.
Well, will it happen? I don't know. You're pretty interesting.
But it's harder to be, one of the things that I struggle with doing this is it's hard to be consistent in that endeavor, right? Because we're two dynamic people, and if we're coming in blind, you don't know me, I don't know you, conversation could fall flat for an hour. But if you script it out and have two fake people go at it, you can kind of control that. That's why movies are great and something live might not be. That's what I'm thinking, is you could script it, especially if you brought in like a team of writers, great writers that worked on sitcoms or TV shows,
right?
And they get into this field and they start scripting out really good conversations or even just really good fake skits where everybody in the scene is an AI avatar. It'd be like South Park, hyper realistic.
Right.
And then it's like, oh, you're right. Who cares if they're real or fake? People are going to enjoy that content. And I think about, okay, if you're just starting the day or trying to gain momentum or break out in a sense, you can still do it. I don't want to shit on the idea that you can't still make it. I mean, obviously, I believe in that because I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, we're still creating stuff.
Yeah.
But it's just going to be a way different environment to be in. And that's just from a creative stance. Have you been watching the war stuff, the war footage from Israel and Iran come out right now?
A little bit.
The bombings are insane. First off, watching these ICBMs.
And it's never 100% clear what's accurate and what's not.
That's where I was going.
Yeah.
Is we're talking about AI just as a creative endeavor, but what if you're spoofing ballistic impacts into a city?
Yeah.
And it's not really happening, but you think, oh shit, they're getting bombed right now, and how that affects countries.
I saw an image of some Iranian, it might have been the government or a news agency in Iran, posted a photo of a bomb landing in Tel Aviv, and one of the followers, my favorite people to follow on Twitter, he quote tweeted it, and he was like, dude, this is like the worst AI ever. Like, no one's believing you. This is pathetic. I was like, is that AI? I don't know. Like, I really wouldn't have known. Other than this, I trust this guy because I think he's probably more sophisticated in this stuff than I am. He's like, yeah, you guys, your AI's lame. Like, up your game. I'm like, oh, was that AI? They could have fooled me.
They've gotten people with video game footage before.
Mm-hmm.
Where it looks really realistic. You know, some Call of Duty or some other video game, and it's a cutscene and it looks real, but it's fake. It's from a video game. Or past footage. I've seen a lot of these ballistic impacts from, you know, a couple of years ago. And you think, oh, this is happening right now. And then it turns out, oh no, this was like 2022. You're like, oh shit.
Not ideal.
Almost got me. Yeah. You're not going to be able to trust what you see or hear unless it's right in front of you. And even then, how long does that last?
And especially when you're scrolling and you're going quickly. Yeah, that's quite amazing. Maybe the key is to just stay off social media.
That's where I'm at. I keep going back to that. I'm just going to create, put it out there. But then also you do want to engage. You want to respond to comments. You want to interact with people.
Totally.
It's just, there's no good answer. There's no clear-cut path of what you do.
No, you can't say you're gonna have a podcast and then bury your head in the sand. That's just not consistent. Those two things are not consistent.
How are you supposed to engage with people if you're blocking the medium that you would engage with them through?
Totally.
Do you respond to a lot of comments? Do you get a lot of comments?
I don't get that many comments. I mean, the comments that I get, I'll generally like them. I usually don't respond, but I'll hit the heart, you know, and occasionally respond. But like on my news videos, I would almost never respond unless the person was asking me like a question that was like very factually based. I wouldn't get involved in like if someone doesn't like the way I reported something, I won't respond to that. Like basically, and you know, I have a friend who says, hey, you should respond. You should defend yourself. It's like, no, the video is the thing. I don't want to divert attention from, watch the video. That's all I have to say about it. That's my presentation. That's my comment. You don't need to hear me now talking. Like I need to like create scarcity around my output. Like this is the video. That's my take. If you guys want to jump in the comments and have your own takes, that's fine. I've already given you my take in the form of the video. That's my attitude.
But also people want more. People want to interact with you.
They want more. I mean, I don't know. I don't think arguing with people when you're a news reporter about the reporting that you've done when I see other reporters doing it, it's like, dude, you're not accomplishing much here. You're getting distracted.
Arguing, like, period, doesn't accomplish.
Put your phone down. Yeah.
Stay off Twitter.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, Twitter's a bit of a cesspool now. Are you still on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter. Yeah, I still am. So what happened was I got locked out of my account. Apparently, got hacked. Which was very annoying because I love Twitter. I contacted Twitter. They gave me a link to reconnect to my account, which worked. So I'm back on Twitter, but my handle was changed. So now I have a different handle, and the handle is the Top House Sex.
Oh,
That's my
Okay.
Twitter handle right now, dude. So it's very frustrating because I use my Twitter and like who cares, right? I'm still
but
having.
also kind of funny.
It's like, yeah, I don't want people to like it's ridiculous. So I've got to I've sent them. They haven't responded to the fact that my handle has been changed and I can't change it.
Is it because it was hacked that you can't change it back, or?
I don't know. Maybe I have to do. I researched for like 10 minutes how to change your Twitter handle, and there wasn't a way that I found how to do it. Maybe I'm just not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just confused. I have to research it again and then email them again because this really sucks that my Twitter handle, right? It's like I'm out there looking like such a tool. No one's like commented on it yet since I've been interacting with this handle. No one said, "Okay, Top House Sex."
Yeah,
right.
just wait for the moment you get called out for it.
Yeah. So, you know, but I'm on Twitter all the time.
Yeah, that's my main one nowadays.
Is it?
Is Twitter, just because it feels like that's where more relevant news information happens than like Instagram or Facebook. Specifically, those two, it feels like it's always a little late. You get real time updates.
Totally.
I mean, you could watch what happened 5 minutes ago.
Breaking news is incredible on Twitter. It's so good, dude.
But the propaganda on there is unreal. And the misinformation, I mean, it's everywhere. I don't want to single out that platform, but it's just unreal to see it happen in real time.
Correct. And when something like, okay, Israel just bombed Iran, okay, now you're just going to get a bunch of bullshit.
And it's from everyone. I mean, you have Benjamin Netanyahu saying shit that's not true.
What did he say?
Well, you have him saying like, "Oh, so I've been going down the rabbit hole of this conflict just because it's everywhere, obviously." But
yeah,
you have him saying, "Oh, we have air superiority," where it's like, "Yeah, okay," and then we've decimated Iran. We can't have them respond. There will be no response. And then 24 hours later, Iran's back up and running
and bombing
the shit. Yeah, going through Iron Dome, going through the THAAD missile defense. It's just unreal. And then you have people say, "Oh, you know, Israel's not going to ask the U.S. to get involved." 24 hours later, formal, yeah. Hey, we need some help. We need you to join. And then it's like, what, false flags. You have all of these things. And it's like, how do you trust what you're looking at? Are we going to war? Are we already in war? Are we not? We just sent air tankers over there, like 20 something of them. I don't even know if that's true.
The guy one of the people that I trust the most has been saying, yeah, get ready for U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. It's inevitable.
Yeah, they're saying, "Oh, Iran's 5 days away from WMDs," and then they'll post pictures. Other accounts will post pictures of them saying the same thing in like 95.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay, yeah, this isn't the same playbook. This isn't Iraq 2.0.
Right.
We have to destroy Iran now. They're defenseless. Then you watch these missiles rain down. These hypersonic missiles. It's like, what? And we would never know.
Yeah.
I'm not over there. I don't know what's actually happening on the ground.
Same.
Could all be fake. It could all be propaganda.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty worried that this guy that I trust was saying, yeah, the U.S. troops in Iran is about to happen. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand how Trump, given how he ran and like his whole thing about wars, all these wars in the Middle East are dumb, how he could send troops, ground troops into Iran. I just don't understand how that could happen. But the Republican Party is split because the old Republican Party was all into, the old Republican Party started the Iraq War. But then you have the new Republican Party, which is like much more isolationist. Hey, don't get involved in this stupid stuff. J.D. Vance, I perceive as much more part of the new Republican Party. Hey, don't get involved in this stupid stuff. So I don't know what is going to happen.
There's something about Israel that just I don't quite fully understand.
As far as
just the lengths that we will go to cover for them. It seems like more so than any other ally or perceived ally. Like there is no point where we will hit a backstop and say, okay, we gotta dial this down. I mean, you look at what's happened in Gaza. It's just there's nothing. There's no backstop. You have free reins. I think that's why they start. I mean, you don't just bomb a country when you're in the middle of these talks.
And after the United States apparently told you to do not bomb them.
See, I don't even know if that's true because I've heard reports that Trump knew about the whole thing from the beginning and knew that they were going to do that strike and was just trying to keep Iran at the table.
Correct. I've heard that as well, but I thought that was kind of not true. And instead what was true was that he did tell them, no. Yeah.
But see, Trump himself said that it was true.
He said that he used this as a con and that he
didn't say he used it as a con, but he's come out and said that he knew that it was going to happen and that now Iran needs to come to the table. There's another thing that was vetoed that supposedly Netanyahu wanted to kill the supreme leader over there, and Trump vetoed that and said no. But I haven't heard much about that yet. But see, I don't know. I could be completely wrong.
Right.
Like, there's just so much propaganda out there from both sides that you read one post from some site that seems credible, and then you scroll down 2 tweets, and there's another post that directly contradicts that. You're thinking, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah. Well, one of the complaints forever about the Israeli-U.S. relationship is that even though we're the superpower and they're kind of like the client state, they seem to like be the one bossing us around.
We're the vassal state.
Yeah, and it seems like it's been that way like for many presidents, like not particular to Republicans, Democrats. It's like it's always like that, and that's why there's such like a outcry among some of MAGA, among some Republicans to be like, and tons of the left as well, both sides saying, hey, like what the fuck like is going on? Like why would we just go along with what some foreign country says? Like we're the United States. Like we're the superpower. Like what's going on?
What are we doing? We could stop this.
Yeah.
We could stop all of this. Religion's a powerful tool. And specifically for Israel, it's fascinating the dynamics that are at play because they did have the Holocaust. And that is kind of this carte blanche card that they could play.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to diminish the fact that Iran is completely awful and they're terrible, and they.
But also name a country that isn't.
Well, but Iran is worse than most countries because talk about intervention. They intervene in every country. They totally destabilize the Middle East. They create civil conflict and.
But haven't we done that?
Not as frequently as they have in the last couple of decades. Okay, we did Iraq,
Libya, Afghanistan. I mean, we've. No, I don't want. You're right. I don't want to diminish Iran, but also, I mean, do we have to go invade Iran? Like, is this what we're going to do? Regime change again?
No,
I never worked out for us.
I don't think. No, the regime change is going to be a total disaster. This is the same thing where no one has a plan for what's going to happen afterwards. It's a total disaster. Yeah, this is what this guy was saying. Is that once you overthrow the Iranian regime.
Then what?
You have to have the United States there to provide law enforcement and stability. Otherwise, it's going to be crazy jihadists, ISIS,
another failed state.
Yeah, it's going to be out of control. So no, but I'm just saying that like, okay, you can say that we did a lot of bad things in the Middle East. That's true, but I think that to a certain extent, we jump in once the situation is already bad. Whereas I think Iran takes situations that weren't really situations at all and creates the bad thing in the first place. Like Iran created Hezbollah in Lebanon, like, and Hezbollah is a total disaster. Now they're mainly defeated, but they created so much instability in Lebanon, and Hezbollah was like a militia created by Iran.
But what happened in Lebanon that created the dynamic for them to be at play? How many times were they bombed?
Yeah, that was in large part a response to the Israeli invasion. I mean, it's
multifaceted.
Yeah.
I just don't know. I mean, yeah, I'm not arguing for, the morality of Iran, but also I don't want to see, just the conflict does not seem necessary. I mean, how close were they really? You had Tulsi Gabbard testify in March that they hadn't restarted the program, that there were no
the
nukes.
Nuclear program.
Yeah. March. We're in June.
Then, yeah, not much could change.
Yeah, and they're saying, they're days away. They've been saying we're days away forever.
Is that what Netanyahu's saying? Is that the quote?
Netanyahu, yeah, I believe, has said we're days away.
Yeah, that I don't know about that. That seems to be saying that. I don't know. Does anybody know how close they are to having a nuclear bomb? I don't know.
Well, this is going to get dicey, but there are a lot of countries that have nukes. Pakistan has nukes.
India, yeah.
Israel has nukes.
Correct.
So, like, what? I get the idea that we don't want adversarial states having nukes. But also, there are a lot of countries right now that have nukes.
Right. I mean, that's the theory, is that one of the lessons countries around the world have learned is that if you don't have nuclear bombs, the United States feels comfortable coming in and kicking your ass. Yeah, Gaddafi, Saddam Hussein. Whereas when you're
if I was
you're Putin and you have bombs, we're much more hesitant to engage you.
More cordial.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, okay, we're on an equal footing. That's why North Korea is North Korea.
Yeah.
And we haven't regime changed them.
Yeah, I mean, but I just want to make the point that, like, okay, Iran, like, their only allies in the world basically are China, North Korea, maybe Russia, and that's it. Like, they have no friends. Like, all these other surrounding Arab countries are not allied with Iran. Jordan apparently, no, this also might be wrong, but Jordan apparently struck down a drone that was flying over from Iran to Israel. They struck it down. Like, Jordan's not friendly with Iran at all. Neither is Saudi Arabia. Neither is the new Syrian regime isn't as friendly with them as the old Syrian regime was. So it's not like all these Arab countries against Israel. No, those Arab countries are kind of like more allied with us, and like maybe they don't have relationships with Israel, but they're not fighting with Israel the way sometimes people portray it. It's just a point I want to make.
But also, new regime in Syria is what? It's Al-Qaeda.
He's a former Al-Qaeda guy.
I mean,
he's a former Al-Qaeda guy. We don't know what he's doing now.
But also pretty crazy.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
And Israel kind of just swept up some land in Syria, and we're like, okay, that's fine.
Yes,
you can create a buffer. Yeah, take some land from Syria. That's all right.
Correct.
It's just so messy. It's just so messy, and it doesn't feel like. And I mean, obviously, I have no foreign political experience. We're just Monday morning quarterbacking
reading
here.
Twitter. Yeah.
We're just commentating here. But also, we're the adults. So we don't like Iran. We recognize that it's a problematic country from our stance. So we have another 30-year war.
Yeah, I mean,
and for what? For nukes. Okay, how good are our missile defense systems? I mean, is it one of those things where it's you let them have it, and then if they use them, you decimate them? Is that the stance that you have to take, or are we taking these preemptive measures by letting Israel bomb the shit out of them, and vice versa?
I don't know. I mean, Israel is using the justification of saying that, hey, Iran makes these inflammatory statements where they say we must end Israel, and they do make those statements. They've tweeted it in English. They in their speeches domestically, they say this all the time on Iranian television. But are they actually doing anything? Right? There's a difference between
show.
Yeah, there's a difference between saying a bunch of talking smack on TV and actually doing something. I don't know how much Iran is doing to actually engage Israel. I mean, they responded, but like before that, I don't know that Iran was actually doing anything to Israel.
And it seems likely that they weren't. You had those missile attacks earlier in relation to what was happening in Gaza, but now after seeing what they are capable of, it seems like, yeah, the general consensus is that they went light. You had that missile wave that they launched, and almost all of them were shot down.
Correct.
It's like, okay, well, now they're using their hypersonics, and I don't even think they're using their current gen models, or they have one or two missile systems that they haven't used on the battlefield yet. And there's some level of superiority as compared to what they're using currently. It's like, okay, what were they doing back then? Was it just a show for their own people? They didn't actually want to hit anybody in Israel? Whereas now, that preemptive strike kind of lit a fire under them, and they're like, okay, we tried to pump the brakes, not assessing their morality on that, but they tried to pump the brakes, and now they're saying gloves are off.
Yeah, I mean, what I saw is that 3 Israelis were killed. They were Arabs. And I think they hit like a military headquarters in Tel Aviv.
Yeah, now, like their version of the Pentagon.
Yeah.
In these current waves, yes.
Yeah.
Those hypersonics.
Hypersonics, is that what they're called?
Yeah, they're hypersonic missiles, and those seem to be the ones that are getting through the defenses.
And Israel was not able to decimate the stockpile of those weapons.
Supposedly not. I don't know. I've heard that. See, this goes back to the misinformation thing. I've heard that Iran had, fake setups, like prop missile deployment setups, I guess, that were part of what Israel struck.
Oh.
But then I've heard that, no, that's BS, and that they were pretty heavily decimated. They got a lot of the IRGC generals. But I'm not over there. I don't know. I'm not privy to the information that they're giving to, their top people. And we're only getting what is allowed by our government, by the Israeli government, by Iran, Everyone has their own angle to sell. You have all of our politicians, most of them, in the Senate and in the House, that are saying we need to stand with Israel and we have to do this.
So what have the Republicans, what have the MAGA Republicans who are more isolationist, who are like, are some Republicans saying, hey, this is Iraq 2.0, we got to stay out of this?
Ironically enough, the loudest one that I've seen is Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
I saw her little thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is the loudest one that I've seen.
But she's one person.
You had I quote tweeted the Speaker of the House who said we have to be involved in this, essentially.
Okay.
Speaker of the House. And obviously Trump is saying similar things. It seems like he doesn't want troops on the ground there. But if you're going to lie about being privy to the initial strike, the preemptive strike, I don't really take anything he says at face value. I don't take anything they say at face value. Anybody.
And the request for us to get involved is because we have some sort of like bunker busting bombs that can bomb like stashes that are underground or something.
To me, it seemed like the general consensus was Israel cannot take on Iran alone. And that has been the general consensus for decades. You had Netanyahu testifying before Congress back in the 90s that we needed to overthrow Iran. I mean, they had that whole, what was it, 6 countries in 7 years or 5 countries in 7 years or something that he wanted us to knock down so that freedom could sweep the land. There's a video of it, a great video of him kind of laying this out.
Okay.
And Iran's the only one that's really left.
Okay.
And so now it's like, okay, what, how does that come into play? Is this part of a long game for Israel that they're trying to create their security over there? And how do we fit into that? Do we want another war? We've got a lot of debt. That's a big issue right now, but we're going to go to war? I don't know.
I cannot imagine it with how Trump, like when he campaigned, he was so critical of the Iraq war, like so much of like.
But he's got a lot of donors that, I mean, there are a lot of people the problem with Israel is you have to kind of dance around it for a lot of people because it gets dicey, because then antisemitism starts being thrown around.
Yeah.
You can't just talk about it as any other foreign country. You have to talk about it in the lens of Judaism. Like that, those two are intertwined. And I don't know that that's a good thing. You heard, for the longest time, you heard that it's important that Israel's around because it creates a safe space for the Jewish people. But are they really safer now because of Israel? That's what I keep tangling with. Like, it doesn't feel like it.
And there's a lot of fighting. Yeah.
There's a lot of fighting.
I mean, what other people will say is, all right, there's been a lot of fighting in the last, since October 7th. But in that time, Israel has basically eliminated Hezbollah. There has been regime change in Syria. This guy from Arcata took over, kicked out a family that had been in power for 50 years. Hamas is basically extremely weak at this point. So Israel's fighting seems to be pretty effective thus far.
But is any of that good? I mean, I get removing terrorists. I get the sentiment, but also how many people have died in Gaza that were just unfortunate enough to be born there.
Tens of thousands.
And what happens now that Al-Qaeda essentially has control of Syria?
I mean, you're calling this guy Gilani Al-Qaeda. I mean, I don't know. I know he comes from Al-Qaeda, but I don't know whether jihadists are running the show in Syria. I admittedly haven't followed it that closely, but I kind of had a more positive view of it. Like, give this guy a chance. Let's see what he does.
But also, we fought Al-Qaeda for a long time.
Right. No, of course.
We also, supplied them with arms and stuff, but,
right.
Then we fought them.
Right. And
they were the
apparently
baddies,
this guy specifically, Gilani, we had a bounty on his head at some point, but now we're kind of
we're cool.
Now we're cool.
Because we overthrew Assad.
Now we're cool. But that's the way international politics works. Like, things change, things evolve. I'm willing to give this guy a chance. I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't say, oh, Al-Qaeda's in charge. I'd say this guy who used to be part of Al-Qaeda, now we'll see.
But that's kind of a crazy way to frame it.
Give him
imagine if you were like, Kim Jong-un used to be the dictator of North Korea, but now he's the supreme leader of Syria.
All right.
He used to be this other guy, but now we had a bounty on him. Yeah, we tried to kill him. Yeah, all of this stuff. He was a bad guy, but he's moved on.
Well,
when are you going to forgive him? When are you going to allow him to be the person he wants to be today, Eric?
After he's watched a bunch of my self-help videos and evolve.
Maybe he's the one liking those videos. Now, are you going to cut him some slack?
The one more point I want to make is that, I was saying like, Iran hasn't really done anything or initiated anything against Israel. Well, what people will come back at me and say is October 7th Hamas is funded by Iran. They coordinate with Iran. October 7th was initiated by a proxy of Iran, which is what Hamas is. So I just want to acknowledge that there is that point that technically you can say, well, in all of these, in when Israel bombs Hezbollah and Hamas and Iran, they're fighting like the same coalition, and it's just different parts of the same coalition. So
if I was to take a step back, I would say it doesn't even necessarily matter. That's a tough way to phrase it. I could not pay attention to what is happening in the Middle East if I were to focus on the US, but we are now so intertwined, and I don't feel like anything that has happened over the past few years has done anything to make the United States a better or safer place. I think it has only hurt us. So if Israel wants to go do this, if Iran wants to go do that, Russia wants to do whatever, as long as the global order isn't necessarily destabilized and the US isn't negatively impacted. These are sovereign countries.
I basically agree with that. I mean, as far as like U.S. troops, for me, U.S. troops, I keep bringing this up, is such like a no-no. As soon as U.S. troops are on the ground, some of them are getting killed. And like, can someone come up with a coherent justification for how Iran is threatening the United States? Come on, man. Iran is a bullshit, dumbass country, thousands of miles from us. They're not threatening us. So
yeah, what are they going to do to us?
What are they going to? Nothing. And like, we're super powerful. They're relatively weak. What are our troops doing in their country? What is going on? So I really hope that doesn't happen. I was I read this dude's Twitter essay twice when he said, get ready for this. I was like trying to understand exactly what he's saying. Basically what he's saying is that, yeah, if they're going to overthrow the regime, Israel's going to want to do that. They are probably going to do it. There's going to be a power vacuum if you don't go in and provide law enforcement soon, right after the overthrow of the regime. Then there are going to be jihadists from Iraq and from all these surrounding countries, these ISIS-type figures that come and gain power. We don't want that happening again, so we're going to have to provide law enforcement. Also, the fact that like 20% of the energy of the world passes through these straits that are right next to Iran.
Yeah, the Strait of Hormuz.
And of Hormuz, yeah. And you have to control, in order to like stabilize oil prices, you have to have that. You have to have tons of law enforcement there. So it's not like pirates and, just jihadists taking stuff over. And who's going to provide that law enforcement? We are. And so that is not amazing at all. Because once our troops are there are remnants of the regime that are going to try to kill them. And there are jihadists that are going to flood across from Iraq that are going to try to kill them. Hey, U.S. soldiers are a target, And they won't kill that many. But, what is that many? I mean, I don't want Americans getting killed in some dumbass country,
And for what?
For what are they doing? Yeah.
I don't even know if it's necessarily just troops on the ground anymore. I mean, these are effectively our weapons, our defense systems in Israel and in Ukraine.
Yeah.
I mean, at what point do we just acknowledge that we are involved?
Yeah.
If you're supplying the bullets, you're almost there.
You're facilitating. Yeah.
And it's not like we didn't have troops on the ground in Ukraine, and it's not like we don't have troops on the ground in Israel. If I put my tinfoil hat on, and I got a little speculative, I think China takes Taiwan. I think Iran and Israel escalates just enough that China has a window, and then it gets squirrely.
And what's the U.S. response to that?
We would have to have boots on the ground in Taiwan. We would have to, because they have the semiconductors, they've got the chips, and they've been priming the populace for a long time that we would defend Taiwan. And China has been escalatory, supposedly, if you believe what you see online, with their, incursions into their airspace. They've been running military drills. They've got a ridiculous amount of drones. Have you seen their drone shows that they do, where they've got let's pull this up. I mean, that's one of the things that you learn from Russia, Ukraine, and from Israel right now is the drone warfare with these cheap drones and the damage that they could do. Did you see the video of the drones coming out of the trucks in Russia for that attack that they did?
No.
Eric, what have you been living under a rock?
Well, I've been spending more time on NBA Twitter than I am on foreign policy.
That's a way better That's a way better Twitter. I'm gonna be honest. That's the one that I need to be on.
Oh yeah, okay.
See, this is what I do when I'm not editing. I just go down these rabbit holes of. Look at this. 10,000 drones. Chinese team controls 10,000 drones with single computer and dazzling display. So imagine if you strap a little bomb onto these things and you just release them. Look at that.
Whoa. What the hell?
Launching 10,197 drones. A young team with an average age of 27 years old.
That's just such a random...
Imagine that's going to be the next terrorist attack for sure. Stateside. Is someone's just going to have
These are pretty cool.
couple hundred drones and just release them.
Whoa.
Unreal, right?
I mean, it just looks like fireworks.
Except they're stagnant. They
Right,
move around. They can
right.
chase you through the woods with a bomb strapped to them.
I mean, these computer geeks have too much time on their hands, dude. That's
That's the evolution of warfare right there. Not carriers, not bombers,
little drones.
little drones. And you just blow up whatever military installment you need to.
Holy cow.
Yeah, you get those into a country. Think about how easy it would be.
I mean, is this like a military display, or are they
No,
just
they're
like
just
this is
showing.
entertainment?
Yeah, this is just
They're just like hang out.
entertainment.
Let's
to the
just
citizens.
Friday night.
Hey,
let's
look,
go.
look at this cool show, but also to the world abroad.
showing that we know what's up.
This is what we can do. And I think they have like drone motherships that they've built that have a bunch of drones that can deploy off of them. And think about that. That versus, I mean, if you had, let's be conservative and say 1,000 of those and launched them at an aircraft carrier, how are you going to shoot all those down?
So have drones been used? Like, I know this is China, not Iran and Israel, but have drones been used in Iran and Israel so far?
They've found Mossad like warehouses essentially in Iran where they were building these drones. They launched them as part of that preemptive attack too, and they've found some hideouts subsequently where they have like the components to build these drones and set them up and essentially bomb from within the country. And then obviously, not Iran, Ukraine had like these box trucks and had drones in them, drove them into Russia and then launched them. That was when they bombed a bunch of their planes. This was a couple weeks ago now.
Right.
And they launched them from inside of Russia. And obviously they've been using a lot of the fiber optic drones so that you can't jam them like on the front lines and stuff.
Okay.
Have spools. They have pictures of these fields where it looks like they're coated in spider webs and it's fiber optic cables. Just everywhere in the field.
I mean, what's the deal? There's a fiber optic cable attached to the drone?
Yeah, so you can't jam them. Look at that. This is all, those are all fiber optic cables strewn throughout this field.
So the cable that's attached is like hundreds of miles long?
It's, I don't know about miles, but yeah, thousands of feet, presumably. And it's like as thin as your hair. It's just attached to the drone because then they can't jam it. It's direct to the person that's controlling it. So they'll fly them. They'll also like lay out like strands like that in places so that you can't follow the strand back to whoever flew it, you know, once it blows up.
Oh.
Pretty insane.
Well, but the cable is not connected to the drone controller?
It is connected to the drone. It's from the drone to the person controlling it.
So how can you not trace it back to the person?
Because if you went through a field like that, how are you going to trace the strand? You've got hundreds of strands out there.
Ah, the specific, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, if it was just one strand, you just walk that back, shoot the guy.
Right.
But if you've got, you know, a battlefield worth of strands.
Oh, wow.
And you're following thousands of feet, maybe miles. I don't know how long they are. Incredibly long, but good luck.
That's wild, dude. And
once they put AI into those drones and you don't have to worry about it getting jammed because it's all controlled in the drone, goodbye. And we're talking hundreds of dollars to make these versus our missile systems, which cost $1.25 million.
But I mean, okay, those drones, like what can they do? Like as far
blow
as
up
themselves, just like detonate?
Well, they also have, there was a piece of tech there was like a water bottle dispenser. So think about like an O-ring with little attachments so you could attach like essentially water bottles to it and dispense them. And they've put mortars on it so that it's like a cycling cartridge that you could drop so that you can reuse the drone. So it's hovering above you, cycles, drops, blows you up, then goes to the next target, cycles, drops, and then goes back and refills.
Wow.
Pulls like 4 or 5 little mortars. And then they put, strap a machine gun to it here in a couple months. Direct targeting. Goodbye.
Wow.
Now, see, NBA Twitter's starting to look pretty good. Huh? Go back to that. Go back to NBA Twitter.
Shit, dude. Yeah, no, I'm not really following all this technology stuff.
I can't help myself. It's just so crazy.
This is the rabbit hole here.
Yeah, it's almost like, I grew up playing video games.
Right.
And this is that on steroids.
Real life becoming
real life consequences.
Way more intense than the actual video game. Wow.
And so back to, escalating conflicts and the safety of the U.S., I don't see how any of what we're engaged in right now benefits us.
Yeah, Trump's going to have to articulate that if we have this big announcement about ground troops. I mean, again,
it would be unreal if he came out tomorrow and said, we're just going to send, 5,000 troops just for support.
Right, that's a good one.
Just for support.
Just for like intelligence, and we're not actually troops.
They're just going to work the missile defense systems.
Yeah,
help with Iron Dome.
Right.
I mean, with these air tankers, I would assume that U.S. troops are going to be flying those, but maybe not. Maybe they'll just let the Israelis use them. But those are essentially then our planes. And if our troops are flying them, what happens if one of those gets shot down by a missile? And I'm kind of amazed that Iran hasn't bombed, any embassy yet. There was an embassy in somewhere that they had like a drone fall in close proximity to. And I think they shot something else down. But we haven't had any direct hits yet on U.S. troops.
Has Trump made any speeches about this yet? Or has he actually said anything beyond putting out a Truth Social statement?
I think it's just those and then little clips where, a journalist will ask him a quick question as he's boarding Air Force One, or I think he's now with the G7 in Canada.
Okay.
Maybe momentarily here and there.
Yeah, it might be time for a little speech or a little, let's get something concrete about what we're doing, what the plan is.
I don't know if you trust him now. If you're going to lie to the public about not being involved with that preemptive strike, I don't know how we trust anything right now. And there are a lot of people in Congress that want this war to happen. There are a lot of war hawks that are that have been, chomping at the bit to get Iran for a while.
Well, there's two things. There's all these Congress people have defense contractors in their districts. So
a lot of them have defense stocks that they bought, a month or two ago.
Right.
Just out of the blue.
Which you shouldn't be allowed to do. It's kind of ridiculous to allow Congress people to buy in defense industry. But anyway, so that's one thing. And then there's the kind of Christian Zionists who are all messianic about what's going to happen in Israel to gather. I don't really understand the prophecy, but I know it's some Christian thing that
it's like the coming of Jesus Christ again.
Yeah, everybody's got to gather in Israel, whatever, and Israel needs to be strong for this to happen. Or apparently, I don't really understand it. But I guess those two elements combined with kind of just a more secular, people thinking, okay, Israel is a stalwart of democracy, and it's a Western country and civil liberties, and they are like us, which to some extent is true. Those things combined probably is a lot of support.
Potent mix.
Yeah, it's potent mix. I just can't believe it. I remember when the Iraq War and the lead up to the Iraq War, I remember people saying, oh man, this is Vietnam all over again. I cannot believe this shit. This is crazy. Didn't we learn our lesson in Vietnam? Now, I'm the age that those dudes were when they were saying that about Iraq. I was younger then. Now I'm looking at this. I'm like, this is sounding exactly like Iraq. What is going on? The perceived, all of a sudden, we're you were saying about Iran. In March, Tulsi said, oh, yeah, they're far away from a bomb. Now they're a few days away from having a bomb. And that was kind of like that with Saddam Hussein. It was there's a crisis. He has these weapons that can threaten us. This dude is he's got nothing. He's got 20 guards who guard him, and then he's got like a room in the back with some weapons in it. He's like super weak. What are we talking about? Like, you know? And it does sound the same.
A lot of parallels.
Yeah.
A lot of parallels. And I wasn't even, I was really young when that happened, when we went after Iraq. But you see videos of what people said then compared to now, and it's almost word for word.
Right.
It's kind of scary to see. And it's, in a lot of cases, it's the same people.
Well, but the difference is that Israel wasn't really the center character in the Iraq thing. That was us. That was mostly us. People like to blame Israel, and Benjamin Netanyahu supported the invasion. That's fine.
But he did testify that they had, well, I mean,
But he was a little side character in that. He was not the main thing. The main people were the Bush administration, all the people that George Bush, when he was elected president, that he put in the defense establishment and the security establishment. They all wanted to do this when they were out of power and Bill Clinton was president. It's different. It was the Republicans driving this. It was not Israel driving it and the U.S. saying, all right, we'll go along with it. It's a little different.
I don't know that they were driving it in the same way they're driving this conflict, but you look at Netanyahu's past and he does appear to be related to a lot of these events.
Plus, this dude's going to live forever. Netanyahu
apparently,
he's
just around. He's going to outlive all of us.
Totally, dude. And he looks the same. It's like he looked old when he was a young guy, but now he hasn't aged in the last 30 years.
Morgan Freeman.
Yeah.
Just same age. Was old 30 years ago, is still the same age today.
You see him giving a speech, you can't tell whether it's from the 90s or yesterday. It's like the same dude, same bro.
Outlive us all.
Yeah. Then you see a little in the corner, it says like 1995, and like you're like, oh shit, that was him 30 years ago.
Yeah, you can only tell because the footage is slightly grainy.
Yeah, it's not an HD. It's a fun time.
It's an interesting time. There's just so much shit. We haven't even dealt with COVID or what we went through there. Again, we're not dealing with the debt and how eventually, probably pretty soon, all of our money is just going to go to paying interest.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to have any money for any services. And then what happens there? And now you tack on this potential war that we're getting dragged into. We still have Russia and Ukraine. China still wants Taiwan. China is probably the biggest player out there right now technologically. I mean, Russia obviously has weapons and has kicked some ass over there, to phrase it in that way. But we're gonna have a 3-front war. We're gonna be like, when I was a kid, I was really into World War II, like really into it, just learning about it. And it feels, obviously, limited experience. I was never there. But it feels like this is almost the precursor to what happened back then. These teams that started forming, these powers that kind of started grouping together for various reasons, and then all it took was a little spark. And we've got a lot of sparks. We've got a lot of sparks right now.
Well, but the difference is, I mean, the reason there hasn't been another world war is because of the nuclear bomb. Because war is so much, like, everybody knows that you have to not go all the way with war because the potential consequences of war now are so much harsher.
How far can you push it? How far can you push the edge? And what happens if you're a country like China that has a bunch of these drones and you could hit all of our installments? Or now that we have, these cyber capabilities that other countries have, if you could just cripple, our response long enough to attack and diminish our capabilities, then what?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know either. I mean, what if shit does hit the fan? Do we use the nukes? Or do we just try to ride it out? I think we would use the nukes maybe if we had like if China invaded us, maybe we would hit their mainland. But if they invade Taiwan, are we really going to drop nukes? Are we going to end the world over Taiwan? Are we just going to duke it out?
I don't know. I mean, I haven't really been following that. But that's pretty harsh. I mean, we've been talking about that forever. Like China, the threat of China, like taking over Taiwan has been around like since I've first read about politics. Like it's just constantly been a like background story. And now China's much more powerful than they than they were historically. Like, so I don't know.
And I don't think that we are.
No,
you hear these stories that like we can build 12 to 15 missiles in a year. And China is like the greatest shipbuilding, has the greatest shipbuilding capacity by far right now.
Is that just because they have so many people?
It's because of that. And also all of their, I believe this is true. I can't remember where I saw, but all of their civilian ships are also built to military standards. So they could rally all of their civilian vessels and use them as military ships. Structurally, they're all the same, So, and if they have if they can ramp up to a capacity that beats us, like that's kind of why we were so effective in World War II, is we rallied together and our capacity to build it caught everybody off guard. Do we do that today? Do we even have, we can't even get the minerals and stuff that we need, rare earth minerals that we need to build the stuff that we have. That was a big thing with COVID, is we realized, we outsourced everything. We don't have the capacity to even build most of the stuff that we need. Now, if shit hits the fan and the people that we get those supplies from are now adversarial in a conflict, they're not going to just sell them to us. So what happens then? Then we have to build the facilities, refine everything. How long does that take?
Yeah, I think you and I talked about this last time within the context of wind energy, with the fact that the batteries, in order to store the power that you're going to create with wind energy, many of those parts are only produced in China, or majority produced in China. So it beyond the military context, and the fact that Europe, I think I mentioned this last time, like a lot of Europe gets their energy from Russia, which is why they aren't really. They don't have much to say about Russia, Ukraine, because, Russia.
Hey, we need that energy.
Yeah. So our society basically exists because of this resource that you are giving us or selling to us. So, yeah.
But then, maybe all of this is just doomer shit. Like maybe that we're just in the age of potential crises that never actually amount to anything significant. We're just in that constant heightened state, and everything will eventually be okay. I don't know. Doesn't feel like it, but also in my lifetime, we've been through a ton of crises, and we're still here in relatively the same way.
Well, this is like part of the subtext for like right-wing populism or the Trump movement or whatever, as I understood it, is that like people are saying, like, we have to return domestic manufacturing because we cannot be dependent on these adversaries of ours to have produce the basic stuff that we need for our society to function. So even if it's not as economically efficient for us to produce it ourselves, we have to have this super reliable supply that no one can take away from us. Otherwise, we're just dependent on foreigners and we're screwed. So I always see that kind of like being argued. Like people are like, hey, don't you understand that tariffs are economically inefficient and that and every economist agrees that it's better to trade with other people? And like people are like, and then the other side, the more MAGA populist side, is like, do economists understand that when those people cut off trade to you, you're going to be fucked? And who cares that you previously were getting good deals? Right? That's like the kind of like the argument.
Yeah. The give and take.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know that we're unified enough where if something were to go down, we would really rally together. You had the No Kings protest. All of the shit that's going on. Can't get good medical care. The housing market is dog shit. The jobs market is dog shit, but we're protesting things that really don't matter and are of no substantive effect to us. Like No Kings, okay, what? I get that you don't like Trump. I get it. I understand. I understand that you're mad, you're frustrated, and you want to do something with that, but what is this trying to achieve? You're not fighting for legislation to be passed. You're not fighting for any real change. You're just mad at this guy, and so you want to be performative and rally with all of these other people who are being performative and burn shit down. And for what? There are real issues that you could try to have an impact on, but you guys are you're doing interpretive dance for us to see. Like it's like this weird masturbation in the public forum where it achieves nothing. Your No Kings protest does nothing. And there are a ton of issues that you could have a real impact on here. Your protest for Palestine, I get it. I understand that you're mad. But rather than, spray painting graffiti everywhere, you could be going after Congress and trying to get some real change enacted. But it's like we don't have the focus to achieve anything substantive. We're masturbating in public. all of the time, and nothing changes. And then people get frustrated, nothing changes. It's like, well, what are you doing to change? Oh, you're not doing anything. You're going out on a Friday night with your friends to protest ICE? Okay.
Right.
What, you're protesting people who are doing their job. They're doing their job. So if you're mad at the job that they're doing, go after their bosses. What are we doing? So now imagine, false flag or a terrorist attack stateside. You just get sucked into Iran. Oh, we gotta go. They just bomb something. We gotta go over there.
Oh, man.
It's so easy to slip into that. Every time I start talking about these topics, I'm like, I need to fucking be offline more. But also, yeah, no. I think that's probably the moral of the story is just be offline. Because like I'm not doing any. I'm just like them. I'm masturbating in the studio essentially, talking about these issues. It's unfortunate for my guests, but
Yeah,
probably better than being out at those protests. But also similar in a lot of ways. Just talking about the issues, talking about the problems doesn't change anything.
yeah.
Might bring a little more attention to it, but
Well, I mean, I kind of went into like a little bit of a higher alarm state when I read this guy who I trust's essay saying, like his message was, get ready for U.S. troops on the ground in Iran. Here's why, boom, 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 lay it out, points 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I was like, oh my God, bro. And this guy's like not hysterical at all. He's like very smart. Oh, the detail I didn't tell you is that he's like a political analyst in the States, but he's an Iranian immigrant. Like he's from Iran. So he's like super knowledgeable about Iran, like specifically. And I was like, oh my God, if this guy is saying it, like, it's like like you were saying, there's so much misinformation and chaos on social media. This is like one person that I trust, especially on this topic. I'm like, oh shit,
But also, he probably has his own biases.
Sure.
And so maybe he wants the regime to fall for his own purposes. Like, that's the problem is you trust these people, but you never really know what's going on inside of their head.
Yeah.
Why are you really doing this? What are you trying to, how do you benefit from this? What are you trying to achieve? Especially with those bigger accounts, you don't know. They've got millions of followers and they're just throwing all of this out there. What are you trying to do? What do you get from this? That's what I think whenever I see these accounts like Bill Ackman. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah.
He's doing all of this tweeting about how we need to go fight for Israel.
Dude, he's like the biggest war cheerleader. I'm like, dude, shut up already. Like, we've heard enough from
You're not going to go over there and die.
Yeah.
So you're advocating for somebody's son to go over there. And this does what for the U.S.? Like, not to put it in a cynical way, not to say that we need to get a benefit or to phrase it like that, but also, is it going to hurt us? It seems like it's going to hurt us. It seems like us going into another conflict in the Middle East, especially given our track record, especially the context of our time right now, doesn't seem like it's going to do anything but hurt us.
Dude, he's like the most simplistic, like, he's like the avatar for like the war cheerleader guy. Like, every tweet of his, you're just like, bro, what are you even talking about, bro?
But a lot of power.
Yeah, no, and like, why is he like famous? Like, what is he like? What has he done?
Does he own like a hedge fund?
I think that's it.
He
He's
had
just like,
one in the past too, and it like went bust, and then just kind of re-upped it.
Yeah,
married to a professor at Harvard, maybe or something
about
like
Harvard. There's some connection.
I think his wife works there, maybe, or one of those Ivy Leagues.
But like, I don't know how he's become like such a prominent. It seems like he drives a lot of conversation, and every time, like, this dude is like the most simplistic version of just like cheerleading every war. Like what he's saying right now about Iran, I'm like seeing his tweets, and I'm just like, oh man, please stop tweeting. Please don't use your big account to say this. I don't know. It's
a sketchy time.
Yeah.
But also maybe in 5 years we look back and think, oh man, I can't believe we were that worked up. Like, look at how it played out.
Right. That's the thing, is that a lot of like, if you remember, like during Trump's first administration, he assassinated some Iranian general. Soleimani. Everybody said, oh, with Trump, warmonger this, and like absolutely nothing happened. Like quiet, crickets, like nothing. So now presumably this isn't just this isn't just an assassination that's going on between Israel and Iran. There's actual like bombs and tons of military activity, but it could just be like, hey, this blows over in a few days, and then like next time I come on, it's like, remember when we were talking about that weird,
Yeah, that was a weird few weeks.
That was right, and nothing happened. I don't know.
It's just hard to assess that when you're in the moment.
Yeah.
You only get that kind of clarity with hindsight.
Yeah. But as you say, with all these people in Congress that are these cheerleaders who are super amped about this, I don't know if this can blow over. It seems like Israel has kind of like opened a door to like, maybe empowering some people to do things that they want to do anyway. I don't know.
And again, weird that Marjorie Taylor Greene is out here being the only cheerleader for us not to get involved.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of an interesting change of events.
Yeah, and she wrote this. It's very nice. I mean, what she's saying is like, oh, I grieve for all the Palestinian kids and the Israeli kids and these Iranian kids. I don't want any of them to die. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like the old left. Like, she is almost like the old left, like what she's saying, I mean, she has also said a bunch of other crazy stuff.
Yeah, she said a lot of shit.
Yeah, she said
We've
a
all
lot of
said
stuff.
a lot of
Yeah,
shit.
she said a lot of stuff.
Doesn't mean we can't have a few good bangers that we send out every now and then.
Yeah, yeah.
Just crazy to see. Again, like the Speaker of the House saying, let's go.
Who's the Speaker of the House now?
Johnson.
Mike Johnson. Okay. Yeah, okay. So he said, let's go.
It's like, oh, man. Yeah, but he is, he's got that Christian element, I believe, too.
Does he?
So yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows what happens? And it's weird to kind of put your life into context against everything else that's going on, right? Because here we are, we're, trying to work, trying to carve out a life for ourselves. And then you zoom out just a little bit and you're like, oh shit, World War III might happen.
Right.
And also, I'm trying to, get a job, to make enough money to feed myself.
But that's the thing, is that like with wars in the United States, we don't experience wars on our homeland. It's always what's going on with U.S. soldiers overseas. None of us, I don't ever feel threatened or like scared of this stuff. It's like very much something I read about on the internet. And that is a luxury of being American.
But also, we haven't fought anybody on par with us since World War II.
Correct.
And even then, like you said, we didn't fight it on our soil.
No.
So what happens when you've got American cities on fire? You have these ICBMs coming down on us.
Well, but I mean, is that a possible result of the Israeli-Iran conflict? Probably not.
No. I don't know how, it feels like there's a web connecting all of these conflicts to me.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we just haven't hit the final strand that pieces it all together yet. But it feels like this is the making of a puzzle. And so the question is, what is the last puzzle piece? What is that final spark that kicks everything off? And is there even one? Maybe there's not. Maybe, these are all isolated conflicts that don't ever grow into anything more. I mean, you look at Ukraine and Russia, I thought that was going to escalate into something more, but it seems relatively contained.
But well, I mean, it's contained, but what is it? Just like low-level fighting forever? Like
who knows?
It's just like,
I mean, Russia is no stranger to wars of attrition. And maybe it is. Maybe it just goes on them fighting for another 4 or 5 years. And then they get, the eastern region. They get what they wanted. Ukraine loses a little bit of land, but maintains its sovereignty. They don't join NATO.
It's been about 3 years, yes?
Yeah, 2022, right? Okay. February or something of 2022 is when they
Okay, so
started.
More than 3 years. Okay. So it's going on a while.
Yeah. But also hasn't blown into a full-out war, so...
No.
But also hasn't ended. So,
no.
I mean, when you're playing with these cards, and they're all on the table, like, it's not over till it's over. And you don't know. I could, like, everything that I've said this far could just be a culmination of all of these outside voices that I've heard, and I've kind of mixed them up in my own head, and this is my version of it, and how many other people are doing that same thing. It's like, what is the truth? Like, at a ground level, what is really happening in the world, and what is really going on, and how much of it is just propaganda or narratives that were being spun?
Well, like an example of that is the question of starvation in Gaza. Like, I've heard so many conflicting things about, like, are people actually starving to death on the streets of Gaza or not? And like, you can just read completely conflicting information depending on what. I'm just like, can I just get a fairly coherent rundown of what the deal is here, but I cannot get
Just
that.
give me the truth.
Yeah, I cannot get that because I've got these conflicting explanations, reports, footage of people in Gaza in restaurants having a great time, families celebrating whatever they're celebrating, normal life, and then you see the big overhead shots of like the whole, like huge swath of land that's just like collapsed buildings and just rubble. And it's like, no, obviously, Gaza has different neighborhoods, different things can happen in different locations, but and like, you'll have like an NGO that'll put out a report and say, all right, there's a famine in Gaza. It needs drastic aid right now. And then you'll have a Zionist account that'll say, no, actually, more trucks have come in humanitarian aid in Gaza since the war started than were before the war. I'm like,
who's telling the truth?
How is that possible?
What was kind of crazy is I saw a post the other day about how, the Israelis kind of set up a base camp under this hospital. And then you flash back to how they were bombing hospitals in Gaza, saying, oh, well, Hamas has these bases in these hospitals, so we have to, they're hard targets now. And then cut to today, and they're doing the same thing. I'm worried about being bombed. Like, what is happening?
Yeah, I saw that as well. I think the explanation was that those were like missile defense systems that are specifically put in civilian neighborhoods in Israel in order to prevent incoming missiles from hitting those neighborhoods. So,
but also now that's a target. Right, if you have a missile defense system, that's the first thing I'm going to bomb. So if you've got that in a civilian area, you're kind of asking for civilians to be in harm's way.
Right. Yeah, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, that gets into the military strategy. I mean,
and also there is a dark kind of leeway that you get if civilians are being killed. You can kind of promote that to, a broader medium to other countries and say, hey, look, our civilians are being killed in this conflict.
Mm-hmm.
Help. Send the U.S. Send some troops. Get some boots on the ground. We need support. I know we said we didn't want you involved in this war, but we do now. I don't know, man. I'm just a podcaster. I'm just trying to compete with Bigfoot vlogs. That's all I'm trying to do here.
Yeah, Bigfoot vlogs. Yeah, for sure. That's the future. So what are your what interesting guests do you have coming up? Do you have anyone fun coming up?
I have I normally don't talk about guests coming up because I feel like then it's almost asking for them to cancel. But I'll say a little something. I have a memory guy, like a champion, this guy that's competed in memory competitions.
Oh.
Coming on to talk about that and how to kind of craft a better memory.
Oh.
I have a professor and her postdoc student from the UK coming on to talk about an article that they did about digital nomadism. That was pretty interesting. So those are the two that I have locked down for this next week and the week after. And then I'm in contact with other people trying to line some stuff up.
So those are Zoom conversations?
Yeah, those will be remote. That's hard. We just don't have a lot of people up here,
Yeah.
I gotta reach out to some more.
What is digital nomadism? Or maybe
like working abroad.
Oh,
if I was working, sitting on a beach in Guatemala and working for some Canadian company or something. Just the ability to work wherever you want, whenever you want, in kind of this digital age.
There are some YouTubers who I follow who have given me the impression that they say, oh, I live in Thailand, oh, I live here. And I get the vibe that they're just living amongst a bunch of Americans and a bunch of Europeans in these places where tons of people are doing what they're doing, like making YouTube videos. And it's like a bunch of successful, digital dudes, doing that. And I've always been like, I guess those countries are probably way cheaper. So let's say they make $30,000 a year on YouTube. They're living super large.
Goes farther.
Yeah. Yeah, one of this YouTuber I used to watch who made videos about how to blow up on YouTube. He lives in Thailand. This other dude who I watch about working out, he lives in China. And I get the sense that that's how they are. Yeah, actually, I'll look forward to that. I'll check that out. Who was the guy who had half a beard and?
Dan Ariely.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a professor as well and has done a lot of research. I have his books. I have two of his books.
I only
Interesting
watched
guy.
about a minute or two. But what was he talking about? Like he was talking about like he was like self-help guy, correct?
Yeah, yeah. We opened that for a little bit on just implementing change in your life. We talked about that. He was severely burned when he was younger. That's why he has half the beard. He was in the hospital for a long time. He talks about that as well.
Okay.
And his story was really interesting because during COVID, a lot of people online thought he was kind of the mastermind behind locking people down and stuff, because he advised governments on some of the mandates and stuff, and came up with, like, worked with agencies to do a lot of work for that. And so people just latched onto him as this figure of evil.
Oh
And
my
since
God.
he was burned and, has half the beard thing, they kind of just latched onto that story. And he's Israeli as well, so they had multiple fronts to attack him on. And kind of just, he got death threats. I mean, he was at the heart of a lot of it during COVID. Yeah. So you talked about that as well. Interesting guy. Also had, published some research that was fraudulent and had to deal with that as well. Was manipulated in some way. I don't know if he's ever clarified who or how, but little mark there as well. We didn't really talk about that because I've heard him discuss it in other podcasts. So it didn't really seem prudent to what we were talking about, but interesting guy. Social economics is kind of his field, I believe.
Have you had, I mean, you've got the multiple mics going on in here. How have you had some guests where you've had like four people, or?
I haven't done a 4-person one in a while. I haven't done a 3-person. I haven't recorded.
You haven't been doing the podcast that often.
Recording that frequently.
Yeah.
I just don't like those mic stands. So that's why I've been doing a lot of one-on-ones. Those old mic stands, I'm just not a fan of them. But I gotta save up a little bit to get another set of these.
Okay.
And then get more camera. I gotta get another camera, and then we can really bang out some 4-person ones.
And how are you switching? You're not live switching.
I'm not switching, so I'll edit this, I'll post, which is gonna take a minute. But if I did the live switching a little for a while when it was just me, and I'd do a foot pedal to switch, but I feel like I lose a little bit of the conversation. Because I have to focus on what you're saying and then focus on who's talking to switch. And so it takes more time to cut and post, but I think the conversation's slightly better.
And what about me doing the switching for you live? You just think it's better for you to do it in post?
Well, you were doing it, and then you were out of town, and I went on a tear while you were out of town. I recorded like 4 or 5, but then life kind of got in the way. Is that something you're still interested in doing?
I could do it. I mean,
yeah, we could talk after.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just kind of...
Although you have your computers oriented a little different than what...
Yeah, but you would have them over there.
Okay.
I just turned them so I could check angles and stuff.
Right. No, that's good.
Yeah, you just came on at a weird time because we had you in here doing a couple.
Yeah.
Then you were out of town. I went on a tear, but then I had some life stuff. That was kind of the end of last year. That's when I really started burning the candle at both ends, and shit just hit a fan. But we could start doing that. Work something out again. If you got free time. I didn't know how busy your schedule was with the radio stuff.
I've got some free time. I mean, it depends on each episode,
Yeah.
But, I could probably do it. Man, I still remember the chick that was hitting on you. That was the crazy shit.
That was a wild podcast. That was, I haven't talked about that one publicly.
Oh man, we talk about it publicly. It's a public podcast.
Yeah,
you released it.
But there were things that happened off camera that only you and I know about.
A lot of it happened on camera.
A lot of it did happen.
Dude, it seemed like it was pretty.
It was a wild podcast. That was like one of your first ones in here doing too. It was like, we're gonna fucking throw them to the fire.
I don't know, man.
That was a wild one. I remember you asked me, have you had ones like this before? And I didn't understand the context of that question. And I was like, oh yeah. And then I was thinking about that days later. I was like, no, no, that one got a little wild. I've had wild ones, but that one got a little...
Yeah.
You got out of here in a hurry. You tore out of this place. I was like, Eric, hang out for a sec, man. And you were like,
you got this.
I'm gone.
I got to be somewhere late. Peace.
I turn around. You're walking out the door. Cameras are still hot.
Shit.
You were
dude.
like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
That was a really crazy show. Man.
Yeah, long night too. I went out looking for... Yeah, shit happened. After you left, I was like, God damn it, Eric. God damn it, I needed some support here, man.
Okay, I mean...
Yeah, it was a tough night. It was yeah. Shit happens podcasting.
Okay.
You're not going to get that from an AI
No.
generated piece of content. And I think that was like your third or fourth one, maybe.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah, no, it was, I mean, I only did like 3 or 4 or 5 total. So, I mean,
I think that was the last one that you did.
that might have been.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. Yeah, shit happens sometimes.
You've been having Thomas Edrington on a bunch of times.
Yeah. He's a cool guy.
Yeah. I watched one of your Instagram clips where, I mean, I back when he was talking about, the auditor controller back, I used to watch like those are the first times he came on. So I watched those whole episodes because I wanted to, because I was super into that. But recently I haven't seen the whole episodes, but I've seen your clip of you arguing with him about COVID. You're like, hey, wait, man, you're an anarchist? And you it's funny.
COVID got a lot of people.
Yeah.
It almost feels weird talking about it nowadays because it's just people have blocked it out or moved on.
Totally. Seems like passé to like argue about it or even discuss like lockdowns. It's like, yesterday's news.
And that's what's funny again about the No Kings protest. Those people protesting that are the same ones that would scream at you to put on a mask or were happy that people were getting arrested for being at the beach or at a public park.
Yeah.
Like these are the same people that are now saying, oh, fight fascism. We don't want a king. It's like, well, you were dictators here a few years ago. And now you're singing a different tune.
Yeah, I wonder if there was like a pandemic like within the near future, like so that the memory, so that it's not like 80 years between it, like there was last time. Like the last pandemic we had that was like COVID. COVID was what, like 1920 or something. So it was 100 years. So people are not alive anymore. I wonder if it's like, okay, if like in 5 years, there's another pandemic. If so it's the same generation. Everybody remembers it. How that would influence the response. I have no idea. I don't know what the consensus is that like, there's definitely some people that have come out and said, hey, closing schools was pretty silly. Mask mandates didn't really do that much. There's definitely been some people, but I would say that's probably the minority. Whereas most people who kind of like supported closing the schools, I don't know. There've been, I can't give a specific example, but there've been some high profile people who have said, "Hey, closing the schools was bad." And I would say that probably was one of the more egregious parts of it, because especially since kids, doesn't really matter if kids get COVID, it's not dangerous for them.
Yeah.
And except in very random, wild circumstances, but mostly it's just not a big deal.
Especially in comparison to the damage that we know the vaccine does now with myocarditis.
But that's also for what, a very specific demographic. That's like for men,
but also young people that were being forced to be vaccinated.
Yeah.
So the demographic that didn't need it, that you're saying has to get it, and now is being negatively impacted. And a lot of people had heart problems coming out of it. A lot of strokes.
Is Cal Poly still requiring a COVID vaccine, or
it wouldn't surprise me. I don't know. I wouldn't speak out of turn, but it wouldn't surprise me if schools were still requiring it.
Okay.
I know that RFK did something with the scheduling of it, but I don't know how that affects schools. That might have been a workplace thing, or I'm not sure. Even I've kind of fallen to the wayside a little bit for it, because it's just you're screaming into the void. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody wants to hear it. You just moved on. I think if we had another pandemic in like the next 5 or 10 years, I think they'd still get a lot of people. I think they would still get, I don't know if it would be the majority or not, but I think they would still get a lot of people.
I don't know. I mean, I think having experienced all these businesses being closed down, I think there'd be a lot more resistance to it, unless it was a more deadly virus. It depends how deadly the virus is. But then again, you don't know that at the beginning. But I think there would be a lot more pushback, and people saying, hey, we're not doing this again. We can't disrupt everything again.
I gotta take a leak. Can we take a sec?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm debuting my new look of a blazer and a t-shirt underneath.
I like it, man.
Very intentional.
I like it.
So this is like the look of like an LA cinematographer.
Professional.
Gets interviewed about his new indie documentary, and you see the podcast, and he shows up wearing this. This is the look. I'm telling you, like LA dudes, when the LA dudes have to look nice, they don't wear suit and tie, right? They wear a sport coat, but they put it over a t-shirt. This is like, at least this is what I see. And half the time I'll be like, hey, I got to try out that look. It's taken me years to actually do it. This is the first time like I've actually worn this look. So when I go home, as soon as you post this, you know, like at least this is the way it is for me when I shoot videos of myself. When I get the footage, it's like the first time I load it onto the computer and I look at it, I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, good. I look good. It's like, oh no, this sucks. This doesn't look good. There's gonna be that moment where I'm gonna be like, all right, did this work or not? Like, I'll be like, oh, do I look like a douche or do I look, yeah, killing it? So I don't know. I'll wait and see what I think.
I had one of those. I wore a sweatshirt that was just like an oversized hoodie, and I just looked like dog shit watching that podcast back. And I was like, well, this is gonna be out there forever now.
Right.
That's nice.
Right.
Happy to have that. Was this part of it like an intentional rebranding, or are you just trying to work on your look?
So this blazer I got because my cousin got married last year, and I went like to used clothing stores in Eureka, and I found this blazer that I really like and that fits me well. And so I'm like, oh, I don't have to just wear this at weddings when I'm wearing like a tie and stuff. Like I can try to incorporate it too. So I'm saying LA cinematographer, dude, it's a look. And it sticks out in Humboldt because no one dresses like this. So you can like, people are like, oh, wow, you look really nice. So I'm trying it out, see what I think.
If you wear clean clothes, you stand out in Humboldt.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad, but
yeah.
true.
Yeah. So I'll see what I think.
Style is one of those things I haven't gotten into, but probably should. I buy all my t-shirts like Amazon.
Right.
$6-7.
Right.
Buy them. Wear them until they fall off, and then
there's like grower fashion around here with like, you know, okay, like hoodies and like
boots,
trucker caps. Yeah. But like there's not that much like city fashion around here.
No. Hippie fashion and grow fashion are the only two that really take hold.
Yeah.
And I mean the college kids now, they're all thrifting.
Yeah.
You know, which I mean is cool if you can find nice clothes, you know, things that you like, but they all look the same. Like it's the style that is just, it's not very unique. They all look identical. Like, oh, you just found that.
Right.
And put it on.
Right. Yeah. Humboldt fashion is, I don't know. I mean, I frequently dress Humboldt. I mean, I'll wear a lot of hoodies. You know, I've got my ball caps. I've got a trucker's cap. You know, same as anyone else. But then I was like, all right, let's switch it up. I'm going on the podcast. You know,
you look good, man.
Thanks.
You're healthy. You dress nice. You got the style down.
Thanks.
LA cinematographer.
Yeah.
You think you would ever do like legit film, like do a short film or work on something like that, or because you've always been kind of the news guy?
Yeah,
is that the angle you like more?
I'm not really a filmmaker in the sense of like I have an idea to make a longer sort of documentary, and I'm probably never going to do it, and if I'm going to do it, I really need to do it soon. And basically, it would be about the Eureka homeless scene. I think did you bring on the dude who?
Yes.
What's his name again?
Way to dig deep. I don't remember.
Yeah. Okay. Because I know him a little bit too. So that dude made a documentary about the homeless scene. It, you know, got a little bit of pub and people watched it. My idea would be to spend months on the street, to like give up everything, put everything into storage, and to like be on the street on the inside to try to explain what the fuck is going on in Eureka.
That would be crazy. So you would essentially be homeless.
Correct.
With them. You'd live on the street with them?
I would live on the street, yeah.
I feel like that would take an insane toll.
It would be.
Just being around that. I mean, you would get some incredible footage.
Yes.
Without a doubt, and hear some insane stories, but that would be heavy.
Well, the question is, would I be able to deliver anything insightful beyond what anybody else has? Because it would be very uncomfortable on my body. That's what I'm saying, because as you get older, it's harder and harder to do that. It would be very uncomfortable, and it would be somewhat painful. I mean, living outside sucks ass, right? That's why if you're not a drug addict when you become homeless, a lot of people just become drug addicts because it's so bad living on the street that that's the only thing that they have going on, or to relieve pain.
Would you take it all the way in that you're only spending money that you can kind of panhandle?
No, I would probably, the way I've thought about it, and I haven't really like thought about the details in super granular level, but I would still probably keep my health sport memberships that I could get a hot shower and go to the hot tub.
Decompress every now and then.
That would
take
help.
A second.
That would help a lot.
Help with your mental health for sure.
Yeah. And I might have like, you know, a person who was storing my stuff that I could go inside every so often, because just being outside all the time would totally suck. It would really be a question of sleeping, though. Once you start sleeping overnight inside, then you're not doing the street thing. The question is where you're sleeping. Although homeless people, I guess, also occasionally score indoor places to sleep. That's, but the question is whether I could actually tell a story that's interesting beyond what anybody else has. I mean, because the streets of Eureka are really nuts. It's just so prominent. There's so many people. I just can't get over it. It's so intense. There are so many men that are suffering.
I was down on 2nd and a couple weeks ago, and it is legit. You feel like you're in Skid Row.
Second, oh, dude, yeah, that's
unbelievable.
Down by Free Meal. Yeah, that's crazy stuff. I mean, that's like where there's tents and just trash all over the place and people wandering around people
just passed out on the sidewalk.
Right. Oh, man.
And nobody's doing anything for those people.
No.
You want to protest something. How about we start there?
Right. But
do something.
But when you walk past people that are in such a collapsed state, like what does it even mean to do something for them? Like I just I walk past people like that and I say, how would one even try to rehabilitate and get this person to like value themselves? Like it's so intense.
Well, and the reality is there is a portion, hopefully a small portion, but a portion regardless, that wants that lifestyle, that can't function well enough or doesn't want to conform to societal norms enough to work a job and have a steady place. They just want to do drugs and be on the street. And that's the sad reality. And I don't think that's the majority of people.
Right.
But that is a portion.
So what you're saying is those people consider that a good life?
Yeah, there are people, I've talked to people that are homeless and just want to be homeless. And they're like, yeah, I make more money being homeless. I get a cell phone. I get a stipend. Like, why? I can't hold down a job. Maybe they have some mental health stuff going on.
Yeah.
And maybe they're a little anarchist and they just don't want to be a part of society.
Right.
It's like, what do you do to those people? What do you do to somebody that just doesn't want help, but also are getting help to survive?
Right.
In a weird way. You would also be able to document your rise out of that, which would also take a toll. Because if you embrace that lifestyle and don't have a place, then you have to try to get a job from being homeless and get a place.
Well, to be clear though, I probably wouldn't be trying to work. I'd be working on this movie. It would be my main thing. And at the end of the production, the end of shooting, I would go back, I'd stay with a friend, and then I'd have a place, and then I'd get a job. But
that climb back out would be hard. I mean, it's hard finding a job now. So imagine if you were starting from no job.
That's true. That's true.
You're like, I got to climb back up from zero.
Right.
That'd be a crazy story. How would you like film on a cell phone?
So that's the question. I would probably have I couldn't have like a bigger camcorder with me. I'd probably have a small mirrorless camera and my cell phone. I would have to start seeing what was working best as the shooting went on. But yeah, I mean, my question is it worth investing in such a huge project when I'm not sure whether the result would actually be anything worthwhile?
That's life. That's life.
Right.
That's everything, man. If I'd started asking myself those questions before I started the podcast, I wouldn't be here right now.
But the difference is that normally, I go into video projects a lot asking that question, but I'm not giving up my whole...
Oh yeah, this is a significant change.
Yeah. So that's one idea I have about being. Other than that, and then the other idea I have as far as a big project, this one will almost certainly never happen, is so there was this, you might know it, this TV show back in the day, Beverly Hills 90210. It was about high schoolers living in LA in Beverly Hills. It was a big hit in the 90s. Basically, I was the age that they were the same age as me in the 90s. And so it was a huge show. So what I would try to do is make like a reenactment of those characters have moved to Arcata and they're now the same age as me now, right? They'd be the older version. I'd hire people my age. The only people who would watch this video that I would make, where it'd be like it wouldn't be a spoof. It would be a reenactment trying to say, how would they look like if these characters moved to Arcata? The only people who would care would be exactly my age, because the people who like that show are mostly my age, right?
I've never seen the show.
Yeah, it was big in the 90s. So that's one idea I have. But I would need the help of someone who's actually a narrative filmmaker, because I don't have that much experience building plots like that are not based on news. I would need someone I have a friend who is a good narrative filmmaker. I floated the idea to her in like a very quick conversation. She's like, oh, that'd be cool. But we've never actually like really discussed it. We were just like bullshitting and, you know, she's like, oh yeah, that sounds awesome. You know, no. So those are my ideas for like main projects, but you know.
It's the balance of time and money.
Yeah.
Everything requires a little bit of something.
Yep.
Where do you put your focus?
Right now I have a lot of time and no money.
It's a hard spot to be in, man. I get it. I get it. And it fluctuates, you know. These past few months I've been working more, but then you don't have the time to do, like that was the hard part when I was editing a lot. I would think I'm doing all of this to get money to do the podcast, but I'm not doing the podcast because I'm doing all of this. It's
Yep.
like, what is the goal here? And I still have no money because it's all going back into the podcast. So what am I trying to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Am I just a hamster running on a wheel here?
Right.
You think about that sometimes. You're like, okay, maybe we need to realign some goals or, you know, solidify our direction in some sense.
You were saying you were going to talk about the post game of that podcast of when that chick after I left, or were you supposed to tell me that offline?
I'll tell you that off air.
Okay.
I'm not. Yeah, I don't want to put anybody on blast.
Okay.
Yeah, we should talk off air. Yeah. But for those listening, sometimes podcasts get a little crazy.
Yeah.
And that's part of the fun of it.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
It's just you don't want it going crazy where it's not good.
Yeah.
So sometimes that happens. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes
Right.
you have a podcast like this and it's just fun. You're just BSing for a little bit. That's one of the fun, like doing this. I'm constantly reminded when you sit in the chair that like, it's just fun. Just enjoy it. You're having a conversation. It's a great way to kill an afternoon. So you hear it was 1 p.m. on a Monday. Just BSing. How often do you get to do this?
And again, reiterating, we are real people. We're not avatars. At least I am.
The curtains are in question. We are real.
Yeah.
Of all the things to nitpick, why the curtains? I don't think I'll ever understand that. Those curtains are fake. I would do something better. I did want to do, actually, before I did the carpet behind me, what I want to do, and I'll do it eventually, is I wanted to do like old redwood boards, like 1x6s or something, and then char them so that it's like a burnt background, and that'll be the background eventually. It was a little out of my budget to do it for this.
Oh, wow.
Spot.
That sounds interesting.
That's been my goal. I thought of that actually at the old studio when I had the brick. It's like I want to do, that's the ultimate goal. Is do like a old growth redwood, char it a little bit so it really brings out the color. Maybe put a sealer on it, maybe leave it raw.
And how do you char it?
I just take a blowtorch to it. I did a project in high school. I took a quote from a book and had like an old piece of cedar and engraved the quote on it and then charred it and put like a sealer over it, and it turned out amazing. And that was kind of the birth of that idea. I didn't know that it would be for the podcast eventually, but that kind of planted the seed. I think it would look really cool. I think the light off of it would look really nice.
Wow. That sounds really fun.
But then going back to the masturbation topic, I feel like sometimes I slip into that with the studio, is you stop focusing on the content, or maybe the content slows down slightly and then you start spiraling of, okay, what could I change? What do I need to do in here to create the space?
I'll just say part of the reason I made that video taking from, there's my beeper.
We can wrap on this. Part of the reason you made the video.
Part of the reason I made that video is just your setup just looks really nice. And I had really nice footage and audio of me talking about something that was important to me. And it just looked really nice. It just looks really nice. I mean, every time I click on your podcast, it just looks really nice. So, it's like you say, it's masturbation. No, I appreciate it because it just looks really nice.
Do you want to end with, we can watch that video and I can put it in here? Maybe bring a little more life to it?
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Let's pull it up. Since you put some serious time and work into it, we'll get out of our FPV fiber optic drone cables here. Instagram. These are guys that's funny that it pulled up on those guys. I've been thinking, do you know that band?
Who's that?
The Critics. It's a local group of kids. I've been thinking about reaching out to them, see if they want to come on and talk.
Oh, I think, this is part of the genre of case log. Yeah, I've heard of them through working at the radio station.
They're out here. They're putting in some work, doing their thing. I think it's 4 guys. Just out here playing music. I think they're going on, we'll give them a subtle plug. I think they're going on tour here.
Oh, nice.
North Coast tour with Unlikely Official. for some alt-right. They're going to be in Arcata on the 19th, Eugene, Oregon on the 20th, Portland on the 21st, Spokane on the 22nd. Oh, they're getting out there. Seattle on the 23rd. Yeah, that's funny. I was looking at them earlier. That's why I pulled it up. Here we go. Oh, nope. Here we go. Okay, headphones. Throw this in the video here.
When you separate from your physical body and your spirit is interacting with the music, but without your brain working as an intermediary, is magic. You have no idea what the separation is between the wall and people and music and DJ and yourself. It's all kind of like this big morass.
That's my favorite part right there.
You're almost a spectator as you watch yourself dance, as the music creates a direct connection to your body and starts moving your body. The music is the puppeteer. And that's when you're reaching the highest levels of LSD.
Great job,
Preach,
man.
bro.
Great job. Little LSD promotion right there at the end. Okay.
Sweet, dude.
All right. Well, thanks for doing this, man.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug anything really fast?
My Instagram is Arcata News. So follow me on Instagram. That's where I'm posting all my videos right now. Hype and promotional videos, Arcata News on Instagram. And I am also, my news reporting is on Facebook and YouTube, also Arcata News.
And your Twitter handle?
The Top House Sex with 2 X's in the X. Hopefully we'll soon be back to my old Twitter handle of @Eric_Black3.
Good follow. Check it out.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, man.
All right.